This is episode 26 of That Time I Got Reincarnated in the Same World as an Anime Podcaster, where we explore the hard-to-clean corners of anime and manga. I'm your host, Isekai Sensei-Sama, a.k.a. Brad, and I'm joined in this Weeb cabal by Bento Baggins, a.k.a. Ben.
Hisashibori.
And Kermit D. Grog.
Ahoy hoy!
If it's your first time here, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the other series on our feed. We've got Heroin Addiction, where Ben and I compare notes on drama and romance manhwa, and Shonen Jumping the Gun, where Kermit makes me read the first chapter of a manga, and we make outrageous judgments based on little evidence. And we want to hear from you. You can talk to us on many different social media platforms, which you can find links to in the description and on our website, animepodcasterreincarnation.com. Come hang out with us on Discord, listen to our Spotify playlist, and get episodes early by supporting us on Patreon. And don't forget to rate the podcast and tell your friends. All right. Well, we're gonna take a little detour.
'Tis the season.
There's a lot of news.
Oh, 'tis the season later.
Well, so starting in January, we're getting a new season, and there's a lot here.
Oh yeah.
So starting on the 4th, we've got Delicious in Dungeon, otherwise known as Dungeon Meshi. People might know about
Is it
that.
that cooking one everybody's been excited about?
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool.
And then we've got The Wrong Way to Use Healing Magic on the 5th. It's an isekai.
It's an isekai. Who'd have thunk it?
Where the main character gets summoned with some of his classmates or whatever.
Okay, that seems to be the new meta.
And he gets a healing ability, but the healers in this world are sort of crazy, and in the war against the demon lord and everything, the healers have to run out on the battlefield and rescue people. And so the way that they do this is they train to heal themselves while they're doing things. So they become really strong and can jump right into the front lines and rescue people.
Interesting. Okay.
It's pretty interesting.
Very medic-like.
Yeah, and it's got a big, strong Dami Mommy, so...
Okay.
You can't overcome that isekai hurdle.
Dangle that cherry all you want. I got enough of them in Jump right now.
Anyways, I think it's a good series. I'm interested to see what the anime does. On the 6th, we've got Solo Leveling. You guys heard of that?
It's another isekai.
I've heard of it.
Sort of.
Yeah.
It's a manhwa.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, it's sort of like a dungeon kind of thing. I haven't actually read it yet. It's on my plan to read list, but it's pretty popular.
There's no better title for a manga or a manhwa than something that evokes me watching my friend play a game, but he doesn't have two controllers.
So
and also,
be a little brother.
He's just grinding levels right now. He's not really doing any boss fights or cutscenes. So I probably made a lot of people mad. I don't know what it's about.
I mean, I watched you play Elden Ring, so.
But that's
exciting.
Yeah.
You're not grinding an Elden Ring, unless he was. I don't know.
Do you know how many times he had to fight? What was the guy?
Fucking Margit.
Yeah.
He was getting his ass handed to him, right?
That was the first boss and the first time I was playing it. So
Well, there you go.
on subsequent tries, I did much better.
Yeah. No, that is true. I watched. He went back and fought him again some other point and just blew through him. Also on the 6th is Something We All Know and Love is coming back for a second season.
Oh? Season or core?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's Mashal.
What's a core?
It's Mashal. I don't know, because it's if Just Anime was doing this, I'd say it's just a weird Japanese thing, but American anime or Western animation's been doing it on streaming services, but also it's a lie. They're essentially ordered as one season, but they're released in 2 sets with usually like a few months between the 2 sets.
Yeah, it's generally like 12 and 12. And they call the second one the second core,
whatever that means.
as in like
Japanese.
it's not a different season, but it's released.
It written for the first time, and it looked French.
Yeah,
Maybe it's from France. I could believe that.
I'm pretty sure.
Because it's a thing that's been popping up more places where it's like, this was clearly the end of this first quote unquote season on Netflix is very clear. Like, and then you get the second quote unquote season. And it's like, oh, this was supposed to be one contiguous thing. And it just, maybe it's like to make ease production. So it's like, you got the first 6 done and you got most of the last 6 done, but we'll give you a little bit of time in between. But
well, they probably
they're
don't.
pre-planned and prepped as a set of 12.
So like the Wasei Ego stuff, like light novel, like
I've never heard
an English
that term
word
before.
What are you saying?
It's like when the Japanese create an English word.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Like Raito Noboru is Wasei Ego. This is like Wasei French. It's a Japanese broadcasting term, but it's French for quarter. It literally means quarter year.
You're looking it up right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
Live fact checking. Here we go.
A show that runs one core runs for 3 months, regardless of how many episodes.
Quarter of the year.
Even though they spell it COUR.
They use the French term for quarter. Yeah.
So pretentious. Anyway, so
No,
Mashal is
buds.
back. We're all so excited for that.
The French were like the first weebs.
We didn't finish the first
We
season.
didn't finish
of
the first
Mashal.
season, and I have no interest in maybe I'll look at the intro.
I liked the manga.
Yeah.
It's over now.
Yep.
It wasn't the best thing. And frankly, in the middle, it wasn't really that good at all. But the end was pretty awesome.
I feel like I need a space between It'll Live and a hit, and I feel like that's what Mashal was. And Undead Unluck will be one day where it's like, people like it, it's good, but it's like, it's not quite a hit, but it's not, because the grim news about their animes and is rough on sales figures. So it's like, it's more than It'll Live, but it's not a hit.
Yeah. I think people should read Mashal. They should read the first 40 chapters, skim the next until you get like 5 chapters
I feel
from
like
the
you
end,
can skim a lot.
and then start paying attention again, because in
go to the
the
gags.
in the last chapter, or the second to last chapter, is what I think the greatest joke in any shonen gag manga ever. And I think it's worth the time to take to get to it.
Okay. Maybe one day.
I feel like 5 years from now, we're going to be saying that Mashal walked so something could run. Mm-hmm. That's the vibe I have about Mashal. It's like it did something.
Maybe it'll be whatever that author does next.
Now the question then
We
is,
don't know what yet.
what is dead and buried in the ground so that Mashal could walk?
Dr. Slump.
What?
No, Dr. Slump was a hit.
Slump was a mega hit. It's just the weirdness of how things got released in the West that, like, it's why people don't know about Dragon Ball, let alone Dr. Slump, unless they're
Does
like,
Dr. Slump have an anime?
what? Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
we didn't get
I've
it.
never seen that. Anyway, moving on. We still got a lot more to cover here. So, something for the Otome Isekai fans. On the 7th, we got 7th Time Loop. The villainess enjoys a carefree life. Not a manhwa, but it is a manga. It's a villainous reincarnation thing. It's pretty much what it says in the title, but I think it's a pretty good series. I've been reading it, so something to check out. Also on the 7th, the second season of Banished from the Heroes Party, which is not an isekai, but
It sure sounds like one.
I'm pretty sure I talked about that before. It's a pretty good series that I read. So, also on the 7th, there is an isekai, which people might be interested in, Fluffy Paradise.
What's that?
Honestly, I had no idea. When
you said a word that made me intrigued. Now you're just going to leave me hanging?
I was looking down the list, and I was like, huh. And I read the description, and it's like, oh, it's an isekai. This person gets isekai'd. They're a little girl.
Oh, you do have
and
information in your brain.
they are in this world where they get to like be friends with all these animals and monsters and everything, and they're all fluffy. And so I think it's probably one of the shovelware for this season, but it looked
cute at least.
And I put it on my reading list. I'm probably not going to watch the anime, but I'll check out the manga at some point. On the 8th, Tsukimichi Moonlight Fantasy is back. I know you guys don't care about that, but I like that series, and I'm going to watch that. I watched the first season. I'm excited for it. Also on the 8th, The Unwanted Undead Adventure. I didn't know this was getting an anime. I started reading this series
What is this?
4 months ago, and I blew through it. The premise is that there's this adventurer, and he's not great, but he's fine. But he's like diving into a dungeon by himself, and he gets himself in a really bad spot and dies, but then gets resurrected, and he like becomes like a lich or something like that. But he goes back he like becomes powerful because he like defeats some weird, crazy, powerful thing like accidentally. And
this sounds like an isekai, even if it isn't.
It's got isekai tropes in it, but there's a lot of
Lazarus and isekai.
Yes, I like it. I think it's good, so I wanted to tell people about that. On the 9th, this is another one the Otome Isekai fans are looking forward to, but it is a manga. Villainous Level 99. Really good villainous manga series. Oh, and another one for the Otome Isekai fans on the 10th, Dr. Elise, the Royal Lady with a Lamp.
Sure.
Every lady has those.
One of those, I think I have that on my plan to read list, but I've never read it. And I've seen people talking about it as like a lot. So, interesting. This one will get you guys.
Okay.
In
a good way.
On the 12th, The Weakest Tamer began a journey to pick up trash.
You know, we could do a whole episode where you just read isekai titles to me.
We could play isekai title or not. I don't know if you should be the judge on that, the creator of this quiz, or it's something that I would make and just to see how super powerful you are. But like, I feel like I could bullshit up a bunch of things, and I could make one up and act as a joke and accidentally be right that it was, and make.
I just want to try to guess what it's about. Like,
it's a dis or dat
from the title.
Is this a real light novel title or a fake one?
Well, guess what? You're wrong about this one. Because it's not an isekai.
It's a light novel, though.
It might be, but it's a manga.
Is it another Shosetsuka ni Naro web novel that got picked up?
I don't know.
You should, because everything you've ever had me read is one of those.
No, but not an isekai. It's literally about this little girl. She's like 10 or something like that, who lives in this village. They don't have enough resources, and so they like throw her away. And she has a tamer skill, and she tames a slime because she's not powerful, and she has to like survive in the world, and it's cute and also like sort of sad sometimes, but also fun and nice.
Okay, I from that description, I'm sorry I made fun of it for its very light novel title. That sounds like it could be something, not something I'd watch, but.
No, and the title, like she's literally going around picking up trash to feed to her slime.
I can appreciate picking up litter.
Oh, also she disguised herself as a boy to like go out into the world.
Okay.
It's
because it's a medieval fantasy world, which just obviously means it has to have all the troubles and tropings of the actual world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's all the upcoming ones.
Oh, man. That means we have a break.
We got a bunch of announcements. So April, we're going to jump to April. Just these announcements. I don't have dates for these, but we'll just go through these real quick. Re-Monster. If anybody knows what that is, I am so surprised that is getting an anime, because that manga is dense as F. Like, you want to talk about like lit RPG? This is like full on RPG. It's got freaking levels and quests and all this stuff going on. And I was just
You're
like
reading a video game.
yeah. And it's so difficult to read. I'm not actually sure why
I've
I
read
keep
Let's
reading
Plays
it.
before that were screenshots and text, so I guess it's just like that in book form.
Yeah. But I was just like, I can't believe that's getting an anime.
It's like if you didn't watch Critical Role, you just had like the player's handbook and the script.
Yeah.
You just try to figure.
Pretty much, yeah. As a reincarnated aristocrat, I'll use my appraisal skill. Did I tell you guys about that one before?
Probably, but
I think I did.
let's not talk about it. Let's not and say we didn't.
Demon Slayer's coming back in April. The
Oh, boy.
Hashira training arc.
Oh boy, homework.
I mean, it'll be fun to watch.
It'll be fine. I don't know. Have we expressed our feelings on? We did. We had to have. Yeah.
Mushoku Tensei, Jobless Reincarnation, is also back in April. This one confused me. This was a core thing. So it's Mushoku Tensei, Jobless Reincarnation 2, TV 4. So
What?
It's the second core of the second season.
What's the 4 for? Wouldn't that be the fourth?
Because
season?
it's the fourth airing. Because there were
there are
two cores.
There's 2 seasons,
and
each
then-
with 2 cores.
Right.
So this is the 4th core. 4 quarters.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I was like,
Brain's gonna start
What?
leaking out of my ears.
what does this mean? 2, 4?
This number devilry.
Speaking of numbers,
They're just trying to make Crunchyroll unusable with that stuff.
It's already unusable.
Because then you'll have the Brazilian dub.
Brazilian
Quarter
dub is
four.
season
They-
37.
well, they have gotten better. They're putting all the different dubs and subs in the same thing, and you actually switch
in
between
the same
them.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of numbers, also in April, Kaiju number 8.
I'm still so surprised Kaiju. How does Kaiju number 8 have a manga or an anime and Sakamoto Days continues to
Yeah.
not? Grind my axe.
Another one, I think I told you guys about this one as well. I was reincarnated as the 7th prince.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, so that's coming out in April. That time I got reincarnated as a slime. The next season's coming out in April. I'll tell you what,
I'll tell you what, them slimes.
April's going to be good for me. I mean, it's my birthday too, so.
Eating good. I'm glad that we'll have a break from other major series we've been watching to go catch up on things and watch that weird, coolly animated Beastman when we watched for 5 minutes, and I was completely infatuated with the Wolfman, and I'm like, we're coming back to this.
And last in April, I saw this one on here, and I was like, what the heck is this? Quality Assurance in Another World.
Oh,
Yeah.
it though? What is that? Okay, I'm intrigued.
So from what I gathered from reading the summary on Anime News and also on Manga Dex, it's set in a VR MMO kind of thing, but I guess the person that's like sort of the main focus is a QA tester for it, but then like there's actual things happening, and it might be the NPCs might be alive or some stuff like that.
I think what I'm imagining in my head is more interesting and compelling than what it probably
Might
is.
be.
I was gonna say,
because
like,
most of the times when you describe these, I think about it in my head and then I watch and I go, "Oh, okay, I guess that's what he said was true, but also not what I expected." In a bad way.
I was going to say a great comedy skit would be like Quality Assurance in Another World, where it's just Brad is the Isekai quality assurance engineer. And he just lets everything through. And it's always his boss coming to tell him, like, okay, but this one, it's just about a guy who's reincarnated as like a space butt, the Nicolas Cage College Humor skit.
Yeah, it's pretty good, isn't it?
I was going the path that they just break the world, and the classic a QA tester orders 1 beer, a QA orders 2 beers, orders 0 beers, orders 99 beers, orders -1 beer, orders a cat, orders E.
Well, I put it on my plan to read list, so we'll see.
Yeah, report back.
Yeah. Okay, just a couple more. We're almost
Oh my
done.
gosh, we gotta put this in the middle. This is too long. for
May
the intro.
5th, My Hero is back.
That's homework.
In July, Tower of God, Season 2.
That's
I
avoided.
thought that already happened.
No.
They made a second one. They forgot English.
They
So
announced it.
they forgot how to count from this tower.
And in October, because we're just I don't know why we announced stuff so early, but Dragon Ball Daima is in October.
What is Daima?
I don't know. Goku's a kid again. I was like,
is that
what
them?
Are we doing here?
I don't remember. I think I remember seeing that trailer and being really excited for like, what's going to follow up from Superhero? And then I saw that and I'm like,
yeah.
I would take a nicely redone version of OG Dragon Ball. As someone who really watched that,
I would rather have
that. Like,
even if they use the weird CG stuff.
To let people know how dope Tien is. Like, I'm now on that bandwagon. I kind of always was, but now I actually have like evidence to back up that he's always been dope. And they just kind of whatever. Yeah.
Are we going to talk about? Oh, I know what this is. I don't think this is canon.
That's even worse.
What, Dragon Ball Daima?
Maybe it is.
Dragon Ball Daimo. It's Daimyo. It's when they go back to samurai times, or they go forward to samurai, or they go through realities to go to samurai times.
I don't know. This will be interesting. Fans who are already angry at Toriyama over Dragon Ball is the first article. Okay.
The people like it, we're still going to like it. The people have doubts about it, we're still going to have the same doubts about it.
Did we already talk on another episode about the One Piece remake?
We didn't.
No, that news hadn't come out yet.
But they didn't announce any kind of time frame on that yet.
Yeah.
But yes, they are.
Mostly it's just people being worried about AI stuff right now about it, which is
the best I've seen so far.
A feeling of it when we recorded this.
Yeah. The best I've seen so far is the One Piece is real.
Yep. One Piece Nakama is a joke off Brotherhood that I've been making everywhere and nobody's been paying attention to me, and I've been very sad.
That works. And last, this is the last one.
It's the last one.
This is the last one.
It's the last one.
In October.
And
also on the list. Don Da Don.
Woo!
I don't really know anything about Don Da Don. I just know the names.
Man, Don Da Don.
Is it still going?
Yeah. I'm off of it because I can't read it on the app and I don't like
going
to the
was
website.
Over.
Is it?
I thought it was.
That's
maybe not. Again, I don't know anything about it, so
it's not over. It's hey, do you have teenage super natural stuff fatigue? Not anymore. Don Da Don. It's fucking good. It's fudging good.
Okay. Well, that's all of that stuff.
Oh my gosh, we need to do news later. I'm so tired. We haven't even done anything. It's
Good
almost
job,
like
guys.
You brought me an entire basket, an entire sack of gifts.
Yeah. That's like the whole year worth of stuff.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're going to talk about other stuff now, but
we're going to talk about what we actually are supposed to talk about.
If anybody is still listening to this segment,
put in a timestamp how to get through all that.
For our patrons, I'm going to start doing Hangout streams soon. So make sure you get on the Discord.
Oh, shoot.
And I'm going to be figuring that out in the next 2 weeks. So
you can talk to us in real time, maybe.
Oh, somebody's talking to us right now.
If you just say MTL in the Discord, I will come running to yell at you.
Yeah, right. So I think a lot of people are going to be listening to this on Christmas Day. So
I don't.
I might. Maybe this is what I listen to when I drive my parents' place.
No, see, this will be good when people are like with their relatives who they can't stand. They can put on this podcast and just hang out with us for 2 hours.
However long.
Yeah. It'll be nice. Or they can put us on on the stereo at their parents' house and share with everybody.
Hey, we're going to be talking about, we're having Kermit's facts about Japanese Christmas, KFC, which will be important later. Because much like Ben sharing information about scary monsters for Halloween, I thought I would do some research into Japanese Christmas, and we'd talk and discuss in the way that culture spreads throughout the world, like a giant capitalist slime.
It's really interesting because we started having these conversations on the side, basically, about why do Japanese people celebrate Christmas? Because they're really into Christmas, but they're not Christian.
No, because it's not about a running theme through this. This is a thing I want to maintain through all that is this is capitalist Christmas. This is what American Christmas wishes it could be if it could just remove baby JC from the equation entirely, because he's not present here. He's been replaced by another man who we'll get to later, who's already been foreshadowed from my acronym.
So I've been all of the information I have about Japanese Christmas comes from manga and anime, where it's just like once a season, or whenever it happens, there's 2 or 3 chapters where it's Christmas time and they're going to do a thing. They're going to exchange presents and
let me
all that.
Let me fill you in. We'll go through it and we'll discuss as I go through it.
Okay.
So Christmas, as we know it, originally as a religious holiday, Christmas, actually dates back further than you'd think in Japan, because Christianity was allowed back in the 1500s when missionaries came over and the borders started opening up a little bit. And there are actual records of proper Christmas mass being celebrated in Japan. So technically, Japan has had some form of Christmas for 500 years.
Interesting.
But also, I wanted to make a point of literally there's a record of a mass being celebrated in the capital of Kyoto. So it's present. People are aware of it. And then the government banned the heck out of Christianity in the Edo period, 1614. So it's got a fairly good run. But yeah, so
Tokugawa's the biggest Grinch of them all.
Yes. I hate Christmas. He's the biggest Scrooge of them all.
Tokugawa.
I wouldn't touch you with a 39.5-foot naginata. Terrible. I started that line. I'm like, you better think of something in here. You can't just say pole. But this is, I want to do that as our starting point, that, I think that's why Christmas comes back, but it's, Christmas has to go underground as a religious thing. All religion has to go underground in Japan then, especially Christianity. So I thought it was interesting that it was around. And then years later, in the 19th century, the ban has been lifted, but this is pre-World War II, because I really thought it's just all the GIs come over and bring Christmas with them.
That's what I expected.
That's what I expected too. That's why I wanted to bring this up. This is kicked off, and you're going to hear this a lot with my facts. A store putting up a big Christmas tree in Tokyo. Stores are the makers and the shakers when it comes to Japanese Christmas traditions. That's why I said this is ultra capitalism, money, gift money, do the things, spend the money, Christmas.
But important to note that they were getting into that sort of Western form of capitalism before World War II.
Well, yeah, because they're modernizing. This will also come up later, but you have to remember that there's the point where they open their borders and we're like, oh crap, we're super behind. We need to modernize, and a bunch of Europe, they go out into the world, including Europe and America, to get information. So they're also osmosising that. This is the time period I talk about that I want to know the most about Japan, and Japan doesn't like talking about, but I just find it so fascinating endlessly. This is Russo-Japanese war time, where they're I didn't know Japan was big buds with the Brits. It's because it's the Japan's a part of the Allies when it's World War I, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
If you can call them the Allies, but
whatever the quote unquote, I say good guys, whoever the Americans joined then later.
Our side, yeah.
Our side. Well, it was ours. We joined that side. It wasn't ours. We didn't start it. We didn't start it either time when I think about it. But I think because we don't see that time, don't see all the there's a lot of European influence pre-America getting there as the GIs that are landing post World War II.
No, I was gonna say I don't know if you're getting to it. But Japan also has a huge gift-giving culture, which the stores can easily sort of slot into. Here's another excuse to do gift-giving.
Okay, that makes sense from some things we will get in what I'll get to later in my notes.
Because there's a whole thing about somebody moves into your neighborhood, you give them a gift, they give you a gift back. You go and visit somebody's house, you bring them a gift. Someone comes over to your house, you expect them to bring you a gift, and you might give them something in return. It's just back and forth all the time.
Very materialistic.
Well, yeah.
I say, but we have that. We're material. There's always the thing of America is very materialistic and capitalist, but that it's so even more ingrained than over here.
You say that, but there's a whole thing about the fact that people give other people just useless crap just because it's expected.
I hate that.
Yeah.
That's why I actively am
Yeah.
bad at gift giving, because it's like, I don't want crap, so I don't give people crap unless I go either A, this person asked for it, or B, like, this is a very meaningful thing that I have found that is clear to both of our experience together, or something I have made. I hate gift giving for the sake of it and not because there's something meaningful going on.
I like it from the standpoint of like they give each other like fruits and vegetables and baked goods and stuff like that back and forth. That sort of feels like how you should do it.
Neighborly almost.
Yeah. But
Well, I think it starts like that. Like you give somebody a gift when you visit them because you're staying with them. Like, it's a way to repay. But
I continually come back to the hardcore history quote that may or may not be racist of the Japanese are like us, but more so. That I continually rings in my ear every time we do episodes like this.
It's true.
It's true. Like I said, of when that Christmas tree got put up, but the record of the first Christmas tree. Speaking of the Europeans are coming in. The first one with Japan was decorated in 1860 by the Earl of Eulenburg from Prussia before it had become Germany in the embassy where he was stationed. 1860 again. This is the
embassy.
Time.
Okay.
So like,
I don't know if that counts.
No, but like this is like that's how these things start. The Europeans that are based there as diplomatic things start bringing their culture because it's like, I'm abroad, but it's Christmas time. I'm going to get this tree, which maybe does not grow naturally in Japan or something, to celebrate this holiday that's important to me. They've got pines, you're probably right. Yeah.
They have conifers. I don't know if
they have something. It might not be the same as whatever this guy's got in Prussia. But it's that idea. It's less that it's like, look how early Japan was celebrating Christmas, and it's just like, this is how these things start coming in. Is somebody goes, we will get to that very shortly about expats being homesick and wanting something that they can't get at quite a lot.
Do you have a date for the first like non-foreign person putting up a Christmas tree?
No, that was not a part of the article I was reading, sadly.
Come on, Japanese people, keep better records.
Well, I don't know how much the tree is important to them. I didn't actually, speaking of which, a lot of what I saw, the tree, like, there are trees, but there wasn't a lot of like, oh, and the family gets the tree, because it's not like, Japan doesn't have land for tree farms like
that's
we
a good
do.
point.
Like,
when I think about like all of the manga and anime and stuff that I know this from, nobody ever has a Christmas tree in their house. There's Christmas trees out at the shops, out in the square or whatever, and they're always big and decorated, but nobody has one in their own home. It's like,
because where are you cutting it? Like, I guess you could have a fake one as that comes in more, but it's like, where are you going to go to cut down a tree? Where in Japan do you go to a tree farm that has enough land?
Hokkaido.
Well, you're also talking about a culture where a lot of people like roll up the futon and put it in the closet to have space.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there is
drop
no
a tree in the middle.
You got to roll out the tree then from where the futon is stored during the day. But yeah, like I said, a lot of this comes from Japan opening up to modernize. They saw other nations doing this, and they go, "Oh, we have to do this too." Christmas, democracy, same thing. Automation, fun stuff.
Automatic, democratic Christmas.
Capitalist Christmas. So what makes Christmas, besides the little like odds and ends of Japanese Christmas, the one that I say that I think makes it the most different than our Christmas is, I would say in America and the West, Christmas is a time for families. And Christmas in Japan is not really about families. Christmas in Japan is about your date or your significant other.
Or your friends.
Sometimes, but not as much. But it's not about like your parents or your siblings or your relatives. That's New Year's, which we'll probably get into a little bit later. Following up with that, Christmas Eve is more like their Valentine's Day because it is about couples. Like, if you don't go out, I found the phrase, you are kuribochi or Christmas alone. Like, there's a title for when you are single on Christmas, which I'm a kuribochi.
I think I've heard that word before, but like it sounds familiar, but I can't remember what.
Because kurisumas, it comes from that. Like, I made sure to look that up, and that wasn't just me guessing your words. There's going to be some more fun. Ben, we were trying to think of the word for this. What is it when it's like the English word is not translated, but it's like written in the katakana or something, so it turns into like Christmas becomes kurisumasu? Is there a word for that to capture a string of words to capture that concept?
I don't know, because I don't think they realize how distorted some words get sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like it's set up in order to make you sound racist.
Yeah, it's like you have to say the word, but say it like... I mean, that's why it's like what little I've learned of Japanese, it's like, oh, I'll just Japaneseify this English word and maybe they'll understand it, but I have to break it down into like, here are the phonemes they use and hope I'm guessing correctly. But we got a good one coming for that later. But to my earlier point, that Christmas Eve is like their Valentine's Day, where it's like couples get together, they have to like book their dinners weeks in advance. Like it's really important they go out and do this. I wanted to look into Japanese Valentine's Day because amongst the things they took from us culturally, Valentine's Day was one of those things. But it is also somewhat different in Japan. In Valentine's Day. What?
Valentine's Day is the day when the girls and women give chocolate to the boys.
They're important men in their life, not necessarily just their boyfriend or husband. At least that was what I had read, which I found also interesting.
Because there's also friend chocolate, and you have to be clear: are you getting a friend chocolate, or are you getting a lover chocolate?
I forget which one's Giri Choco and which one's the other one.
I didn't. I could have, but I did not write those down. But you were already talking about like Valentine's Day. It's not about the flowers. It's not about the hearts. Number one with a bullet, it's the chocolate.
Yeah. But we can't forget, because Valentine's Day, well, what are the guys supposed to do? Well, they don't do anything on Valentine's Day because there's a different day.
Yep.
In March, it's called White Day, and it's the day when the guys have to give back to the girls who gave them.
It's the day that all the men talk about white pound.
Anyway.
No.
But it's important that everybody knows about those two, because those are also these gift-giving holidays.
Wait, but there's another thing we haven't put in there yet. That's another recurring thing I've already talked about. This idea of giving chocolate on there is a custom, supposedly from a confectionery ad from the 1930s aimed at foreigners living in Japan. It always comes back to stores. The stores put up the Christmas trees. The stores put out the ads. They are the trendsetters. Store, buy.
Japan is like the poster child for Hallmark holidays.
It's a post-war economic miracle, but it's before that happened. They were already doing this. I mean, we probably have that stuff too.
It's a pre-war economic ad.
What? Freaking isn't Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer an ad? Isn't he not real? I mean, obviously he's not real, but like he's not from like lore.
Yeah.
He's just old enough that we weren't none of us were alive for decades before he was invented. Right. So he just feels like he's a part of the tapestry in the way that someday, decades from now, some little kids are going to think Elf was just always a part of Christmas tapestry, and it's like, it came later.
Will Ferrell's been alive forever.
Yeah. God, no. I did want to say at my ending thing of Valentine's Day, I did say no hearts, but that was a lie. The confectioners make heart-shaped chocolate that women give as a gift to express their kokuhaku, or expressing their feelings, which wasn't a really socially acceptable thing back then in Japan. So that's why it's like the girls get to do it, because they're usually not allowed to express their love. So this is their way to actively say, it's not like I like you like that, Babaka, except
you're allowed to have feelings. That's why that's one day.
I wonder if that's why the tsundere thing is a thing, where they can't actually it's taboo to express their feelings. So it's like, I feel weird about you, so I'm gonna hate on you because it's taboo to do otherwise.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Japanese.
It's also
Valentine's Day.
Where the thing that I was talking about in the Discord that I spoilered, that is not safe for work. That's where that comes from too.
Somebody's peeling out of Ben's place.
Yeah, I have no idea. There's like one or two of those a night.
But yes, continuing our Christmas tour, a small factoid before we get into the Christmas cake is that Christmas there is not a national holiday.
Even though they like all do it.
They all Christmas. It's big Christmas, but sometimes it gets lumped in with the time they have off for New Year's. Like that's like New Year's is their Christmas. Their Christmas is our Valentine's Day, and their Valentine's Day is is our Sadie Hawkins dance.
It's interesting because Japan is obviously known for like its workaholic culture, where it's like you got to be in the office for 14 hours a day, and
unless Dragon Quest comes out.
But they actually have a lot of holidays where you get multiple days off. A big one that I always see is Golden Week, where it's like, and I think that's either in the late spring or summer or something like that.
That sounds about right.
And everybody gets like the whole week off.
I feel like
I've celebrated that
in the Persona game before.
But they have like mandatory, I forget how many weeks. It's at least like 6 weeks of vacation or something, but
Yeah.
they never take it.
But you better not take it.
Yeah.
You will be dishonored if you take it.
So yeah, but as I alluded to moments ago, the Christmas cake, or the kurisumasu keiki. Keiki. I did not know the I on the end. I just when I was Googling this, I put in like cake in Japan, like trying to get the thing, and it's just like, here's how you say cake in Japanese. And I'm like, I'm gonna hit the button so Google says keiki, and it did, and I was like, yeah, keiki. Keiki. So looking into it, this was another tradition of theirs gleaned from Europe, because Europe already has Christmas cakes. And also similar, like America, we have the fruit cake, which I feel like is more infamous than a tradition necessarily.
Let's just get this out of the way. Actual fresh baked fruit cake does taste good.
Yes, I believe you.
Just so everybody's aware.
I think it's a running bit.
For whatever reason,
like the tradition part, I feel like
nobody
is a
gets
bit
it
now.
fresh. It's always like old and hard and awful, and I don't understand.
I don't believe
I
you.
think that's
just
old
another one
and
of
just has
Brad's
kept going.
contrarian stances.
It's funny.
I'm always right about food.
But they do not do a fruit cake, though their cake usually has a fruit on it. It is very classically a sponge cake decorated with strawberries and whipped cream. Strawberry fruit cake.
Is that a Christmas cake?
From what my research was, that is their idealized Christmas cake, which is interesting because I've seen that pop up in a lot of Japanese media.
Associated with Christmas.
It's the cake that you bake in Paper Mario as Princess Peach. You bake the Christmas strawberry cake.
And they always cut it.
That is their idealized cake.
They cut it, and it's like a perfect triangle, and it has the perfect cross sections of 3 strawberries along it,
and the
you're
perfect
like,
little whipped cream
there's
thing
no
on top
way.
of a single strawberry. It's perfect.
You can't cut it that perfectly. That's not how strawberries work.
But yeah, literally sold
They're specially bred Japanese strawberries that are weak to the blade.
No, it's that excellent Nippon steel.
It's Fruit Ninja. It's just we just bred all of our fruit to be cut so easily to make our swords look cooler. I don't actually believe that, just to be clear, but that's a really funny thought to have. The government genetically modified the fruit, and our produce would be easier to cut to make our military look cooler when they cut things.
Of the Japanese swords, because look how easily it slices the fruit.
But only to blade. They're very resilient to bruising, but when it comes to blades, they cut like a hot knife through butter.
And that's the secret joke at the end of Mashal that Brad was alluding to. It was fruit engineering the whole time.
When it comes to fruit, they can't be beat.
But to get kind of serious for a little bit, because I was like, where did this come from? Like, I know other places have cake, but why did it get instilled so hard in Japan, where it's like, when you Google Japan Christmas, you're going to get told about cake. And from what I could understand, is that this actually comes a lot from post-World War II Japan. So, it's destroyed. Food is hard to come by, especially sweets. But you have the American occupation showing up, bringing chocolate. The GIs have chocolate with them. They give it out. I feel like I've seen this in many World War II things. It's still like, oh, it's the kids. These people are starving. You give them the chocolate ration because you're just some random GI. You're not like the actual governing body. So sweets become this sign of success and prosperity because it's like, hey, we can't really do this right now. We're barely feeding ourselves, let alone having things that are like decadence. So at least from, like I said, what I had read was that then when Japan bounces back and the post-war economic miracle happens, they can finally get all the ingredients to make cake, including strawberries, so then that cake becomes a sign of prosperity. That it's like, we are doing well, this is the time of year I guess you do that, so we all have cake to show that, like, we're doing well. We have prosperity here where we did not before. And it becomes that kind of symbol, which admittedly I only found in one place, but like it matched up with everything else that I understood, and it made a lot of sense because it's like, that's right, they didn't have a lot of money, and I was like curious what their like cake making things, and I think as we know from our own like freaking Japanese snack boxes, like how many European cakes they have, like Japan just loves cakes and sweets. I mean, again, everybody does, but like it's just interesting that it's like that also the strawberry one is like the idealized. Does Japan naturally grow strawberries? Is that like an imported thing?
I'm sure they can.
They do. They definitely have domestic strawberries now.
Oh no!
But that's what I'm saying. Did they before?
Native.
I know that they have strawberry. Well, yeah.
Are they native? That's the question.
There is I saw a YouTube video. This guy visited a strawberry farm. This is one of the places where they grow $50 strawberries.
Oh, a coworker told me about that. He said like $400.
Yeah. Well, it's like
Abroad in Japan video.
I could not imagine a strawberry worth more than.
Yeah, he's like one strawberry. Now, granted, they're huge, but it's one strawberry. It's like $50, and it's like perfectly ripe, super big and juicy and amazing, and it's $50. It's like, well,
sign of prosperity, brother.
He didn't have to pay for it, so it was worth it for him.
Once a year at Christmas, I'll eat a $50 strawberry.
A sign, Ben. That can be our tradition as a sign of prosperity. I was tempted to make this cake, and then I'm like, A, I don't have time, and B, I don't like strawberries that much, and C, this looks too complicated to make a strawberry shortcake. So maybe next time. It does
sound like a textbook marketing campaign, though, of like this thing that is relatively cheap to make is high class.
Yeah, because make a vanilla cake, put some nice big cream pats on the top, strawberries on that, done.
And then if you can convince people it's high class, like lobster or something.
Yeah, this is one where like the history, like I went searching because I was really curious about like where is the actual like. There's got to be some specific point of like what, like even like my last factoid on this one was like everywhere I went had different reasons why it is white and red. There was one that I saw that I liked. It's like it's the colors of the Japanese flag, and the other ones were like it's the color of snow and Santa, and I'm like, it could be either of these. One of these is a lot more like actual like national like not folklore, but like more. Like, oh, that makes sense of this country that's rebuilding, that they would have some level of, like, pride in their country. And the other one's, like, very capitalist, which both are very Japanese concepts to my knowledge. So it's like, I don't know.
It's the color of the pure white robes that Japanese wear when they commit ritual suicide. And
oh, my gosh, Brad, that's something I'd say. Oh, my gosh. Bloody
Lord.
Samurai cake. Good Lord, Brad. Why are you saying terrible things I would say? But yeah, like I could not, despite all my digging, I couldn't zero in on where the cake thing came from. And some of it, like again, a lot of these are, because this is not a Japanese holiday, are on loan from America and European nations that, you know, there was the occupation, but there was also they opened their doors and modernized through those countries. So those things are going to come through it.
In fairness to Japan, I also have no idea where the birthday cake came from.
You mean like just all birthday cakes?
In general, yeah, the concept of cake on that day. It must be cake.
I mean, that was
Can't be a pie.
Cake is for special occasions.
Cake is I mean, that was what one of the articles talking about the Japanese Christmas cake also just talked about a birthday cake as a sign of prosperity, that you could make a cake.
Just a reminder that we're all adults. We can just go to the store and buy cake.
But you couldn't always do that. These traditions come from times where you didn't just go to the store and get stuff.
No, but I'm just saying, just in case
they
you
just
forgot.
Continue.
You can just do that.
I could bake a cake tomorrow. I might. I'm not going to. I don't like making cake.
That's how successful we are.
I don't even have to make a cake. I could go buy one.
You can go to the store and buy a piece of cake. That's amazing.
I could buy a cake with my face on it if I so wanted.
I hate capitalism, but sometimes it gets it right.
Sometimes you just want to eat a cake with your own face on it.
Couldn't do that in China.
Speaking of capitalism, and speaking of my Kermit facts about Japanese Christmas, this KFC chicken for Christmas in Japan, the thing that you probably know along with the cake as being a major weird thing about Japanese Christmas.
I actually wonder how many people know about this. So we should probably give everybody a background, because I'm sure everybody knows that the Japanese celebrate Christmas.
I got notes.
But there's this super weird thing where everybody... And I say everybody, it's not everybody. But
it's a lot. I'm going to name a number.
It sells
out. It's
out.
a huge thing that you get KFC on Christmas. You have to order it like months in advance to get on the list, because they can only make so much at each store. So there's a list you got to get on.
Or you got to wait in a really, 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 really long line, was what I saw. The number I saw in a couple spots, but they could all been from the same bad notes, but it seemed impressive to me. An estimated 3.6 million Japanese families get KFC at their holiday meal. It makes up 1/3 of KFC Japan's yearly sales.
I mean, to be fair, 3 million is not that much in terms of all of Japan.
That's not 3 million. That's not 3.6 million people. That's 3.6 million families.
Okay. So 12 million people?
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
You want to feed 12 million people, Brad?
A fast food meal, yeah.
Yeah. How many people live in Tokyo?
I don't know, but a lot of them are eating chicken on Christmas.
I think it's like 30 million.
Well, I was going to say the current Japanese population is 125.7 million as of 2021. So that's not, I mean, yeah, it's not even a percentage, but still, like, that many. I mean, how much chicken is that, though? Like, in pounds?
It's a lot of chicken.
I mean, it's still weird. That's significantly more than KFC in America sells, especially on Christmas when they're closed.
I was tempted to get KFC before today, but I didn't want to eat something that greasy before having to sit down and record something where I had to speak eloquently at length.
Yeah. Do we even have a KFC around here anymore?
I don't know. There's one that I get on my way home from work, and I thought about that one, but that wouldn't have been good for today.
I mean, I have a KFC.
There's a KFC Long John Silver's down by the outlets.
That might be where we have to go. We have to go next year. We got to go. I got to bake a strawberry cake, and we got to go get the family bucket. So, from what I could find of the origins of this, so back in 1970, the KFC opened their first store in Japan, and the manager there, the main guy there, Japanese man. I didn't put his name down because I didn't care enough to do that. I guess whatever.
Ken Nakamura.
Sure. Whatever. Supposedly he had a dream about a party barrel sold on Christmas, and that this idea also came from hearing, like, the expats and just people who are living in Japan, foreigners living in Japan, wanting to. It's Christmas time and wanting to have Christmas turkey. But, like, turkey at that point in Japan was hard to come by. Again, importing things 1970s.
Just let me, like, to be clear, you said barrel?
Barrel. I saw one article. One article said bucket, which is what it's called now. But I liked barrel more because that felt like more how you would see something in a dream if you didn't have a concept for that thing existing.
I mean,
not literally a barrel.
A barrel of
like
chicken,
concept.
of fried chicken, is how I would like to eat it.
But, like, I thought it was interesting that it was specifically, like, because it was, like, the story that I heard in a bunch of spots was it's like, oh, a bunch of foreigners living in Japan, they're homesick for the holidays, they want to eat turkey, but specifically thinking about it's like, it's not really turkeys in Japan, so you can't have that. I don't even know how much chicken there necessarily, I guess there's enough for KFC to have it, but, like, that being the cornerstone of why that became, this American company was there to fill the gap of this homesickness and nostalgia in this weird fried form. And this was then launched with a huge marketing campaign. Again, marketing, stores, capitalism creates cash and traditions in places. Okay, wish me luck. Kurisumasu ni wa Kentucky, or Kentucky for Christmas.
Is that really just Kentucky?
Kentakkii. Kurisumasu ni wa Kentucky.
I thought it was going to be worse. I'm a little disappointed.
That sounds too much like Kentucky.
Do you want me to be racist for a moment and attempt to butcher it?
Ben, you do it.
Well, no, he'll do it right.
No, he'll sound more like
Kentucky. I always go that route.
How is it spelled?
He'll say it right. Kentakkii. I made sure to type it down really specifically.
Kentucky.
Yeah, see? That's not bad. Again, it's the classic just say the English word.
Kentucky.
Pretending like you said.
Well, no, that's what I don't think it sounds.
It's not racist enough, Brad? It's not racist enough for you? The way they speak?
Not compared to all the other ones.
Like kurisumasu?
Yeah,
that's
that
fun to
one's-
say. Say it.
That sounds right.
Say it.
Kurisumasu.
Kurisumasu. It's fun. It's like a slide. It rolls off the tongue.
Kurisumas.
Ito kurisuma. So I'm gonna stop before I get terrible. But yeah, the Kentucky for Christmas happened, and the rest is history, and it's still a major moneymaker over there for KFC. But it's interesting that it's just like that's one that feels that one's like 60 to 70% capitalism instead of like 100% capitalism, because it was born of a cultural need of people who weren't from Japan wanted this. But it's interesting that it's spread to the Japanese because like foreigners are cool. They want to get their records.
I don't get how it's got as out of control as it is now.
Do you think it's it's a foreigners are cool thing and they want this, so we want this?
I mean, there's a part of it where fried chicken is great.
It is, though.
The Japanese eat a lot of fried chicken that's not KFC. And so it could just have just grown organically from the fact that they like fried chicken so much. And this happened to be one that they could just, get a whole bunch of.
But why did it stick, and why was it Christmas?
Yeah.
That's what? You've probably seen the pictures, both you people I'm recording with and you listening to this, of like they have their Colonel, the KFC Colonel statues decorated as Santa Claus during Christmas time. And like he looks kind of Santa-y. I'm not gonna Yeah.
So I'll give you an alternate example real quick. I have a friend from Mexico who thought it was the dumbest thing he had ever seen how excited Americans get about Cinco de Mayo.
Okay. I mean, I agree.
He has no idea why you're celebrating Mexican independence by getting completely drunk on tequila.
Yeah, I mean, especially because
do they celebrate it all in Mexico with this level of fervor? Is Cinco de Mayo our Japanese Christmas?
Kind of. Well,
because it is very commercial for us.
He was like, it has nothing to do with America. Like, he doesn't understand why anybody outside of Mexico celebrates Mexican independence.
So we got to celebrate Cinco de Cuatro.
Because we're the most independent, and we got to celebrate all independence.
Remember we also took all that land from Mexico?
Yeah.
We killed all those Mexicans to take their land.
Also, we just like getting drunk.
Yeah, but that's what it is.
I mean,
right?
Also St. Patty's Day.
Yeah.
We want reasons to get drunk, but with specific nationalities involved.
Yeah. I'm surprised we don't have more
to give gifts and eat fried chicken.
Yeah, we just want cultural drinking.
I mean, to be fair, we drink eggnog at Christmas, and I guess Thanksgiving too.
We need a Japanese holiday in America
hot cider,
drinking sake and getting drunk and being Japanese for some reason. I'm sure it'd be very culturally sensitively handled by people.
There was a period of time there until it was in like every grocery store where sushi was kind of a fancy food.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it goes both ways. That it's
I liked sushi before it was in all the grocery stores.
Japan thinks foreigners are cool, and that we think Japanese people and certain foreigners are cool over here because it's like, oh, exotic. Like there's a certain amount of like they're the trendsetters. So I think it's born a little bit of that because it's like this is aims at expats. How is it spreading to 3.6 million families?
Do you think right now there's a small group of Japanese men that are sitting around recording a podcast about Christmas in America?
If they are, I was about to say I'd love to hear it, but then I remembered they're Japanese, so they're speaking Japanese, and I wouldn't be able to understand what they were talking about. But I would love for somebody to localize that podcast for me.
They can probably understand us.
I mean, I did listen to a number of podcasts of English-speaking people in Japan talking about Japanese Christmas.
Yeah.
But I would love to see like in that weird what they think of American Christmas.
If
or
we haven't already
holidays.
offended them.
I want to know about Japanese Arbor Day. Okay, that's the KFC. That's my Kermit's facts about Christmas in Japan. I mean, I have more. That was just the joke.
You know what I want from Japan? I want those summer festivals.
Ooh, yeah.
I want that summer Matsuri. I don't know what it's called.
Where they wear the yukatas and they're just out there and there's fireworks at the end.
Everybody sets up like little tent stands to sell food. You can walk. Yeah, I want that.
I mean, we have
and you have
that.
to catch goldfish with a little paper
It's called
net.
the time of the year when 4th of July happens and there's all those like company like field day picnic carnivals that pop up.
Yeah, there's carnivals.
Like the York, like you're describing the York what's it called?
I want Main Street shut down and like a bunch of stands pop up, and you just walk down, and I guess it's kind of like a Jubilee Day where I live.
Yeah, I've seen that.
happen.
I've been to one of those in Mechanicsburg. They exist. They're just not as culturally collected.
I want a fox mask and a robe.
Then we should open that stand because I also want those things.
There's a carnival that always comes to the little town that I live just north of every single year. They sometime in the summer they come down. They got their unfolding carnival rides that are on the back of a truck that really don't look safe at all, and they've got their stands where you can do the ring toss and buy cotton candy.
But I can't buy ramen at them. Or Dankatsu,
and then
or
they set off
the
fireworks at some point. And I'm in my house, and I just start hearing bangs, and I'm like, what the heck? What's going on?
And I'm at my house, not at the festival.
Of course, I never go to those. Are you kidding?
We'll have an inside one.
I would have to,
summer.
1, leave my house, 2, be around other people.
But 3, the food.
There is a summer festival.
County fairs. They're just not. They're not. Maybe Matsuri is just translated. It means something basic in the way that we say county fair.
So speaking of fried
it means
chicken,
festival.
There you go. But it sounds exotic. It sounds cool. But we have those. They're just called country fairs.
there's a up north in Center County.
Way up north.
There's the Center County Fair
Yeah.
every year in August, I think, and we used to go up there quite a lot before the pandemic, and visit my in-laws up in that direction. And at that fair, they have a stand that sells fried chicken on a stick.
That sounds good.
And it's literally just like 2 gigantic chicken breasts on a stick, battered and deep fried. And I swear to you, it is the best thing I have ever eaten.
That sounds like a trip
yeah.
at the Ren Fair. It's heavenly. Okay, we're getting distracted.
Yeah,
we gotta
let's
get
move
back
on.
to Christmas time. I didn't get too many facts on this, but it came up in a couple places. Is the Christmas boot, which is a very European thing. I feel like that. Like I sometimes learned about that in school, but that's not really an American Christmas tradition.
I don't think I know what that is.
Didn't you ever do when you were in school that you like left your shoes out for a Christmas thing and like it's like, oh, the little elves put candy in them or something?
Stockings for Dutch people.
Yeah, I guess I think it evolved more for us for stockings.
I guess the legend
that came
of
from shoes.
Saint Nicholas is that he would leave dimes in the kids' shoes or something like that.
So like that was the thing that popped up a couple places, but it didn't seem as big as like the cakes or the KFC.
Speaking of dimes, apparently John D. Rockefeller in his old age got advice from a PR person because everybody hated him because he was a friggin' oil baron.
Yeah, a capitalist.
And so in order to make his image better, he would go around and he would give little kids dimes as like presents. And a dime could buy an awful lot back then.
It could.
Except in today's money, that's about 87 cents.
Money's weird.
Yeah.
So guess what? Screw billionaires.
Speaking of the Germans, to get back on track, from what I was reading,
Deutschegin.
Beethoven. Again, that's me faking it. I didn't write that down. Beethoven's Ode to Joy is supposedly very popular around this time of year. Choirs sing it in German all over the country. It's sold famous. It's just called Daiku because it's the 9th symphony, and it's what is it? Dai is 9 in Japanese. And supposedly, I did not find a thing to back this up because I'm like, I want some information on this. It was possibly first sung in Japan by German prisoners of war in World War I, and my question was, what are German prisoners doing in Japan? And my only guess is that they had a holding somewhere in the South Pacific and got taken from there, because why the heck else would they be almost as far as they could get from Germany as prisoners?
Yeah, I don't know enough about World War One.
Yeah, I don't know enough about World War I in the Pacific Theater for World War One, if you would even call it that.
The main thing I know
I was just
about...
very confused why it's like, why are there German prisoners in Japan very far away?
The main thing I know about World War One is why World War II happened.
Yeah, but they were at odds, and then they were buds. It's like that's why it's like Italy was on team cool guys, and then they joined team bad guys, and they were team lame guy.
In the early part of the 20th century, I believe Germany, pre-World War II, was acting as military advisor to Japan and China.
I
think they were actually paying them for like a consultancy on building a modern military.
They would have been part of it. I know, at least from my reading on the Russo-Japanese War around that same time period, Japan's really tight with Great Britain. There's a lot of like British officers on their boats during that war, just sort of like you said, advising and just sort of generally taking note of what's going on, which is why I continue to be very confused why reading about that war, and it's just like it happens before World War I and World War II, but it's both like it's stuff that all the nations would learn in both those wars like a decade before either of them happened, and it's just like, you guys didn't learn anything by this. Even the Japanese didn't learn it, and it was their own war. There's an important person we have not talked about when it comes to Christmas yet.
The Emperor.
No.
Oh.
Oddly not referenced at all.
Santa Claus.
Yes, Santa Kurazu, or Santa-san. Santa Kurazu is in full. One thing I was just like, I wonder how he kind of came over, and one information factoid I found, which I hope is true because I thought it was funny, is that Japan doesn't really have any fireplaces, or many fireplaces, so some children just supposedly just think of him like a magical ghost. He just appears in the house to give them a gift. And much like we've talked about a lot, their gift-giving holiday is for New Year's more than it is Christmas. So like a kid will maybe get a gift from her parents, but it's not like, hey, it's Christmas, Nintendo 64. Like it's not this like sea of boxes.
I saw a good one today
think
that
about Christmas.
Santa could slip under doors by turning into a liquid like the T-1000.
I thought you were going to say paper, like gooey Santa.
Santa Claus in the 1,000-year door.
So this I have taken just wholesale from a website because it's like, I don't think I could summarize this well.
Okay.
So this is the thing about Santa showing up the first time he shows up in Japan, and maybe also why he was like generally accepted as a symbol for Christmas stuff and just in general.
Coca-Cola.
You'd think. Maybe. I don't know. The first appearance of Santa at a Japanese Christmas celebration was in 1875 when a Santa dressed as a samurai appeared at the Harajo School from Ginza.
What?
So, I don't know. Not a store, surprisingly. One of the reasons... Oops, sorry. You go, Ben.
I love the way that's phrased. When a Santa dressed as a samurai. Like a man dressed as a Santa, dressed as a samurai.
It's Santa dressed as a samurai.
It implies that he first dressed up as Santa Claus and then went, oh, got to put on my samurai armar.
Or he was
it was
an
a statue.
actual Santa.
I read a Santa as a statue. That's not stated in the text, but I like that. That would imply that they already knew what a Santa was to make him a samurai. Hire a Santa-rai.
He goes to give the children's presents. He reaches into behind his back to reach in his bag. Oh no, it's just a katana.
But one of the reasons Japan may have adopted Santa with such open arms may be his similarity to a Japanese god, Hotei, Hotei, Ben. I've got more, but I need to...
I'm not familiar with him.
Okay, I'll keep reading. Hotei is one of the 7 lucky gods and is always depicted with a cheerful grin and round belly, like Santa or Buddha. I added the for Buddha bit, just to be clear. But while Santa's belly is due to all the Christmas cookies he eats, Hotei's belly is large due to his immense soul overflowing with love for mankind. And this is where I'm like, I just need to take this verbatim because it just starts going in crazy. Just like Santa, Hotei also carries a sack. While Santa's bag is filled with presents, Hotei's bag is more mysterious. Some legends claim it is filled with his clothing. Some say a rice plant. Others say it is filled with all the woes of the world. And yet others say it is filled with toys and gifts for children he encounters on his travels. Both wear red, but Hotei wears this color as it offers magical protection against diseases and demons. How true any of that is, I don't know, but it was too wonderfully strange to not talk about.
That's a lot. That is a lot.
I don't intend to go into a lot. I just thought it could be this thing, or the woes of all mankind, or gifts.
I feel your struggle from the Halloween episode because when you're looking up kitsune, it's like for 100 years they were this in this region. Simultaneously, and also 500 years later, they were this in this region.
I didn't admittedly Google Hotoi at all, but I did not find any other mention of him in any of the other Christmas research I did. So this might have just been this one person drawing conclusions. I can see it, but also it was just like, yeah, I guess. I don't know. I doubt it. I feel like, I don't know how much more in touch with the gods Japan was.
I just love this
in the 1800s.
Whatever. This idea that there's like imagery. Like somebody made a painting and was like, "This is Hotoi," and he has a bag, and it just spread around. And the little kids were like, "What's in his bag?" And their parents were like,
"A rice plant."
It's a rice plant. And then in another region, "Daddy, what's in his bag?" "The suffering of all mankind."
What's in his... Also gifts for you. Are we suffering, Dad?
So I did a little real-time research because I was never familiar with it as Hotei. But what I'm seeing is that so if you look up Buddha statues in Japan and Asia in general, Buddha was not fat. Most Buddhas are like a slim guy with the particular kind of hair that's like dotted. If you look up like one of the Buddha statues, but
there's one in my neighborhood.
Hotei looks exactly like every like fat Buddha statue I've ever seen. And the first thing I saw was he's one of the 7 gods of luck, like you said, but he's also called the Laughing Buddha.
Well, there you go. Does he come from China? Because like it feels very like one of the 7 luck gods. Feels very like what little I know of Chinese religion. In that way that Japan cribbed a lot of notes and then paid attention to some and threw away others. And got
traditionally, he is based on a Chinese monk called Putai, who became to be regarded as a bodhisattva, like a future Buddha. And so he got mythological status.
Well, there you go. Whether that's connected to it, I don't know. I want to go into one tiny little bonus round because it has not been released yet, but our next episode of Shonen Jumping the Gun is for Dogs Red, which is about ice hockey in Japan. So I'm like, the way they talk about it, it seemed like there was a lot more history than I was expecting, so I wanted to go look into it. And I didn't get a lot, but for special for Cold Time and for Dogs Red episode coming out soon, I learned about ice hockey in Japan. Ice hockey was brought to Japan in the 1920s by, can you guess who? What nation brought ice hockey to Japan?
Wayne Gretzky.
Russia.
Oh.
Nope and nope.
Mexico.
No.
Canada?
Nope.
Us?
Nope.
Australia.
Nope.
Kenya.
You're dancing around it. Nope.
India.
Nope.
China?
No. You're missing a big one, you dinguses.
I said Russia.
No.
England?
Yes. The English.
They don't play hockey.
That's why I was surprised.
They don't play it well.
But this is why I continued to go like Japan and England were bros, but also like England or Japan and France. Like I want to learn more about the Japan-French connection. Of them being like French being the first weebs and Japan having the thing where they get really excited about going to Paris and then they go there and it's a shithole and they're like they get mind broken.
Well,
there's an episode on that at some point in the future.
Episode.
Japan and the French, the OG weebs.
Japan-French connection sounds like a movie that has an amazing drift race.
Yes.
Oh yeah. And stars Renee. What's his name?
Dupree.
Oh.
No.
I forget.
You know, the guy. He's.
I know who you mean, but I don't know his name.
The professional.
Oh, Leon?
Yeah.
Okay. But it comes over then, like with the Christmas stuff, Japan is opening, modernizing, they're buds with Great Britain. This is one of the sports that comes in from it, I'm sure, with a bunch of other sports. I'd love to learn a bunch. Maybe I'll do an episode on sports and we'll cover sports manga.
Sports!
Da, 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 da. Very popular in northern Japan because it's cold and they have a lot of ice cold snow time.
Weird.
Duh. They started their own ice hockey federation in 1929. So it's again like all this stuff that is happening before the war that just feels like we never get to see it as Westerners.
Why don't we see any Japanese people in the NHL?
Well, they may not be good at it. They also took part in the ice hockey World Championships in 1930 as the first Asian country to do so, and they got stomped 0-3 by England.
Oh, that'll do it.
They also took place in the 1936 Olympics for ice hockey with the 0-2. And at least from my last little factoid that I found very interesting, and they had a picture connected to it, supposedly, from what I was reading, that time where they were at the Olympics is the first instance of a goalie wearing a mask.
That time I wore a mask at the Olympics.
1936 Olympics. A Taiji Hanma used a baseball catcher's mask to protect his glasses.
Nice.
He was the
Oh, no, you know what?
goalie.
I remember seeing women's ice hockey, the Japanese women's ice hockey team in the Winter Olympics.
That was one thing I saw when I was trying to poke around for information of like on a Reddit post of somebody talking about like Japanese women's ice hockey being a big thing, and I'm like, sure. I was trying to look for more like origin points because again,
Yeah.
I think for like I feel like this episode is a major shower of that. Of like, I find Western stuff coming in Japan such an interesting thing to delve into in the way that it again. Much like they had with Chinese theories, like what sticks around and what doesn't. How do the things that stick around get warped? Like it's familiar, but it's also different.
Mm-hmm.
And I just find that endlessly fascinating. And the way that sports that we don't think about Japan playing, that they have been playing for literally, almost just about 100 years. And when you don't think about that with ice hockey, but they've been playing it for almost 100 years. So clearly it's a part of it. It's not like, this isn't sumo or karate or soccer or whatever, baseball. Again, also, I think maybe that sports episode, baseball, definitely will be, I'll reread, you gotta have WA, and we'll talk about baseball. But yes, this has been Kermit's Facts About Christmas in Japan. My KFC J facts.
AJ.
Machine.
Nice. Well, thank you very much. And it's Christmas time. Yay.
Have a Merry. I guess it'd just be, because
Just let Ben do it.
going Merry. So you'd just be Merry. Merry
Merry
Kurisumasu.
Christmas.
Here's me trying to butcher Merrymore. It's like, wait a minute. No, I already know that's how they say it because of One Piece.
So we've got some pretty good engagement there on our Discord. We got a good group of people we've been chatting with. We've been having a lot of fun. So thanks to all them. That said, we've actually gotten some suggestions for topics.
What?
And specifically,
Nani?
Go.
we got a question. That question
It's usually what
is-
people ask. People usually ask questions. I ask a statement.
Are you done?
Hey.
We got a question from Lass of the Red Rose, friend of the show. Yeah. I'll call him a
You have to
friend.
think about maybe not a friend. I don't know.
Well,
No,
she
friend of the show.
hasn't been on the show. I don't
Oh.
know if we can define it that way, but she's our friend.
Friend of the show, not friend on the show.
Right. Anyway, she was asking how we like to consume our manga. And I thought, we could talk a little bit about just sort of our consumption of anime and manga in a more general sense as well. So, for example, I read manga primarily at my computer, on my computer screen, on a website, be that Viz or something else. Which was a huge problem, considering that Viz was like, no, we're going all in on phone apps now.
Even though there's certain stuff you can only read on their website.
Yeah. But, I'm probably going to try reading more on a tablet coming up pretty soon.
It's real good. I'm literally, because I read my docs on it, you can't see me. I mean, you can see me, and so can Ben because we have our videos, but the listener cannot see me. I'm currently cradling the tablet that I got off the back of a truck, metaphorically speaking, that I have read all of the manga since I got it on, and I literally can't look back. for the most part.
So, and hopefully my son doesn't hear this while I'm editing this episode in the other room. We got him a new iPad for Christmas because his is, it's just not quite up to snuff at this point, and he needs to use it for like school and stuff like that. So we got him a new one. The old one, the one he's currently using, isn't broken. It's just slower and like it glitches out sometimes and stuff like that. So I'm going to take it. I'm going to, reset everything. And I think I'm going to try, reading manga with it. I'm going to make a concerted effort to get away from my computer and go sit somewhere or lay in bed or whatever and read. And I think the first thing I'm going to do that with is the next series we're covering on Heroin Addiction, which is another typical fantasy romance, which I didn't start yet at the time of this recording.
Have you always read manga on your computer? I know this has come up in the past where like Ben and I grew up with this more and you're coming to this later. So like have your habits changed, or is that how you've always generally, outside of like books, which we will get into?
Yeah, because like, I mean, I haven't read actual books in a long time. Like, sat down, open a book, a physical book and read. And I read, but it's mostly, internet articles and stuff like that. And so I just always read at my computer. And I never was really into reading manga, like way back when. And when I really got into manga a couple years ago, I was already well established at like I sit in front of the computer and read.
Digital age also was already kind of here for it.
So I still have this thing where like I like the idea of having physical manga. I've bought every volume of Frieren that's come out, even though I don't read it like that, but I want to support that and I want to have the physical copies of it. But yeah, I don't read it like that. So
interesting. Yeah. Like I said, we've talked about that you kind of came in later, that you already got to enter during like the reasonable digital age.
Yeah.
And I know mine has changed since then, because I know growing up it's like if there was any on the internet, it was a lot harder to get at. It wasn't well formatted. It wasn't consistent. So it's like you had to get it in book form and you couldn't order online as much. So it's like I would just go to the bookstore when I was in like high school and just sit and read. Like every so often, if I had a weekend that I just wasn't doing anything, I'd get my mom to take me to the Barnes & Nobles and drop me off, and I would just sit and read manga for ages and then go home after I had read a couple volumes, because I didn't want to buy it all. Or it was like, oh, I want to try things, or like I'm just making my way through the series. And then very rarely would I like buy something. The library was also like a really good helper in that, but you had to get lucky that they had both the series you wanted and all the numbers. To this day, I will still curse, despite never reading it, I will always curse Rurouni Kenshin, because all of it was at the library from 1 to wherever the heck it ended, and I had no interest in reading it. This was many years before I would learn that the creator was a pedophile, so that's only strengthened my conviction in doing a big hatui on it. But like, there was a certain thing of you read what came your way that you could get your hands on.
Yeah.
And how that is less of a thing now. Here, before I get into kind of where I got currently, Ben, how about you talk about where you've read manga in the past and how you get at it now, medium wise?
Yeah. So the first, I'd say probably the first manga I think I ever read was Akira, and I read it in, I believe the paperback, left to right. The Dark Horse edition. So like I started out reading paper comics. I also read a lot of American comics. And if you had to ask me my preferred way is honestly like the magazines. Like I like the books. That's probably my secondary favorite, but
Tankaban.
I don't like how small they are. Like I like the magazine page size.
That's something I haven't really thought about that before. They shrink them down to go in the Tankaban, don't they?
Yeah. That is also, I'm sure I've had that thought before, but now that thought is also now just hitting me. It's got to be smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I prefer the magazine. Now that hardly ever happens anymore because when I moved, I had to throw out so much manga, and I didn't throw it out. I wound up giving it all away, but I was going to have to throw it out. I couldn't find anybody who wanted it. Because that was the other hard time I was having was like, if I want to keep the paper books, even if I wanted to like buy them, read them, and then give them away, it's so hard to turn them over these days. I could take them to a bookstore, but then like I have to go down to the bookstore and sell them, and like
you'll get pennies. Like it's just not worth it.
I never do that. Like it's just the inconvenience of loading it into a box, loading it into my car, walking across town with it. Like I never do it. So I prefer paper books for everything. I prefer magazines for comics, but digital is the way it's been going just for convenience. And yeah, I prefer it on a tablet myself, though I've been using my phone too much.
Yeah, you said you've been reading the manga on your phone, right?
I've been reading the manga. I've been reading pretty much every manga or non-American comic I've read in the last year has been on my phone.
Well, what the manga you guys have been reading a lot of the time, I think, from what you've described, is like one big column that you scroll down. It's literally made to be scrolled on a screen on usually a phone or a touch device.
Yeah.
Well, and the nice thing with the manhwa being made for the phone is that my old man eyes, they make everything nice and big. It's not a magazine page that got shrunk like the manga is. And they have on some of the apps, like I know Comixology has this. I think Shonen Jump even has it, where you could do like panel by panel.
Really?
Oh, weird. I don't know.
Yeah,
about
like
that.
you could click in and swipe the panels.
How does that work? Because they always
have that.
So many of the mangaka do they play around with the panel layout.
I feel like that's a Comixology thing. I don't think I feel like that's a feature I would know about on Jump. I don't think that's on Jump, unless it's on like a really specific series.
I'll double check after this, but I've experimented with that, and again, it seems like a kind of thing where like if the artist drew the comic with that in mind, works out really nice. Feels like a movie.
Yeah.
If they don't, it screws it up all the time. So, yeah, I prefer paper, but digital is just. It's too convenient. I only have so much shelf space.
And yeah.
I can't even imagine like reading the amount Brad reads
in physical form. Oh my gosh, you'd be like a hoarder just to virtually have it, to physically have it in your home all at once.
There's no possible way that you could read it.
But like
that.
that's the thing. Like I would not have been able to read through all of One Piece reasonably without having space for it. And like I've learned, like I do not like physical media because unless something really spoke to me, when I'm done with it, I want it out of my house to make room for other things. Mm-hmm. I keep a very like tight belt on that, and being able to go digital has like helped that wonderfully. So now it's like it is a delicacy when I get a book.
Yeah.
Like I bought, and we'll be keeping like the what is it? Until I Love Myself, which was like a non-binary manga that I heard about and enjoyed, and it's like that is one that I physically have, and like I will be slowly working my way through all of Beastars because I think I bought the first one of that, and it's like this is something that is important to me, and there's a part of almost the ritual of having it as a physical book, and not just like, oh, I'm reading One Piece and I'm keeping up with Sakamoto days and this and that. It's like I would never buy a book of any of those that are just very like, oh, I'm moving through them and I'm enjoying them, but like
it's interesting you say that because as some people might know, I get these guys manga for Christmas.
Yes.
Last year, there was specific reasons for the stuff I got. This year was more...
This year was more fun and less homework.
Generally not homework, except for the one for Ben.
That homework.
But there's something about going to the store and looking at all of the series.
Oh, I love doing that.
And going, oh, would he like this one? Oh, would he like that one? And like...
I love reading the holding cards about what they think are what they're like. Hey, look, check out this one. Like I want to know the person that does that in my local bookstore.
But it's having done that very recently, it's interesting to think about, like, because when you're saying like, oh, it's a very special thing. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, even the act of me choosing it for you was a special thing, you know?
Yeah, more than recommending. I'm giving you a physical representation of check this out, or I think you would like this,
Right.
but also like I said, like, and I think, I don't know, I'm assuming I'm a weirdo because I'm a weirdo in most things, how much I was like, I don't like having extra crap in my house. So it's like, if I'm going to buy this in physical form, it means I can't get it digitally, and that I want enough to keep it around. Because I used to be able to sell things on Amazon, and I can't do that anymore. They had a big crackdown. And it's like, I'd have to go to a bookstore, like Ben said, and it's like, I'd get so little money that it would just not be worth my time, so I just don't do that. So it's like, if I'm going to buy it, it's going to be one that needs to stick around, or that, like, I want it bad enough. I freaking bought Dragon Ball Superhero. I have that on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
And
Well, this
because I couldn't get it digitally at the time, and I really wanted to watch it, and I liked it enough that I said, I'll keep it.
this isn't going to be like the most popular thing I've ever said, but it's a great way to start a sentence, I know.
Yeah.
But like, I think a lot of the people buying, not so much books, but like the graphic novels and even the people still buying magazine comics these days, like they forget that it was a format that was meant to be disposable. Like nowadays, if you're going to buy a magazine style Iron Man or something, you're somebody who's going to bag and board it. The people who would buy them and throw them out don't buy them anymore. They just get it digitally.
Yeah,
Right.
that's me. But there's
And
people
my
I know
thing-
that's very collector-y.
Yeah. So my thing was, if it's not something I want to collect, I do have things I collect. Like I have manga all around me right now. And there are things I want to have forever. And if I want to have it forever, I don't trust that it's going to be on the app forever.
Yep.
And so I will buy a physical copy. But this is the unpopular thing I'm going to say is most manga, most comics for most people are disposable. You're not going to read it again. Most of it.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
But a lot of people
but
like collect it. Like, I don't know. I'm very, by and large, and I'm sure I'd collect some things that I'm not thinking about, but like I think just because of my hate of physical objects a lot of the time, like I'm very just like anti-collector for collecting's sake and not for like, you are buying this book to experience something. This is not just a piece of paper. You can keep it then. I have all of iShield 21. I had to move it off my shelf to make room. It lives in my closet now, but it's like, that is a series that was important to me, that I refound as an adult, that I finished, and that's one that I'm not parting with because it was one that I continually reference back to, and I know one day I will reread it because I've already done that once.
Yeah.
And I reference
Well,
it
and
too
all
much
that-
not to.
all that needs to happen is your like Viz goes out of business, or they lose the distribution rights, or the Japanese company goes
You
out of
can't
business.
even get at it.
sells
They're
the
not
rights to
printing it.
somebody
It's
else.
not on the app. It's not accessible
Yeah.
right now, even though it's one of the best sports manga ever made. Like,
So I'm not saying the things I don't buy are disposable. I'm saying they're disposable to me.
yep.
So if you want to have it forever, you have to get a physical copy. Even the license isn't enough anymore. Like even if you bought it on Amazon, people have seen stuff going out of their digital catalogs when the North American distribution rights go away.
And this is why piracy is so important.
I would not, unless there was literally no other way to get something and I wanted it with all of my heart and soul, which is not going to happen, I will never buy digital manga. Not even like just because then it's a digital thing that I can't get rid of. It will always be on my shelf forever. And there's something about that drives me, my OCD up the effing wall.
I mean, I don't buy digital. I don't like rent movies digitally.
I rent them because it means they will leave me at some point. And
I don't
want
e-
that.
I don't
want
even
my
do
shelf
that.
clean.
I'll rent something digitally. I mean, I pay the subscriptions, but I don't count on having, like, I pay the subscription for Shonen Jump. I also bought the Akane Banashi graphic novels as they came out. I'm still buying them.
Get that.
What?
But
I really like that too. I should probably get those.
Let's do probably an anime at some point too. That and Sakamoto Days are both like really
Better.
good Jump ones that should.
But I have
anime.
not purchased Mashal,
Oh, of course.
My Hero Academia.
There's too much of it. There's too much money. There's not enough space. Like again, like
Yeah.
I need to probably just buy a whole other shelf that just lives down here in the studio, and that's where my manga lives. Brad, as soon as we have the episode for the homework you got me last year that we keep putting off because I have to do a lot of work for it, and I keep doing things like buying a house and having performances, that stuff's getting... I will probably put up, like, literally, I will send it to Europe. I do not give an F. I'll put up on the thing, like, hey, do you want this? It's yours. Otherwise, it's going somewhere. I'd burn it if I could, but I don't have a fire pit that I'm allowed to have at my house.
I'll take it.
But just, like, it will be removed from my home when the job is done.
Those are very large.
They are very large. Even if they weren't not large, it's like, I have this burning thing of, like, I do not want things in the house that are not important to me.
Yeah.
But again, I am also a very weird, intense feeling person, so that has kind of led me more into the digital, where it's just like, it is here, it's passing through. The thing that it resides is as an experience and a memory in my head of me taking it in, and that's more important to me than the physical object, unless it's something that is like very special and very personal.
Well, and for the stuff I'm going to throw away, even if it was a difference between buying a $3 subscription to the Shonen Jump app or a $3 magazine, I'm probably still going to go with the Shonen Jump app, because if I needed to use it again, it's there. Like, sometimes I'll write a blog post and I'll take screen caps of the page. Like,
you also have the
panel I was
backlog.
talking about. Yeah. So there's just, I don't even know how a magazine could compete anymore, which is unfortunate because that is my preferred way.
I mean, it competes by, there are still people who want to hold paper in their hand and sit in a chair.
Is Jump even physically released anymore?
Yeah.
I think it's just not physically released in the West, because it was for a while. I actually had Shonen Jump for a while when I was in like high school.
Yeah, they had
and
monthly
college.
Jump.
It was neat because that was where I started reading One Piece again years later, and I'm like, all of a sudden we're in Impel Down. I'm like, I don't know what's happening right now. I was watching the 4Kids stuff as a kid, and oh gosh, what's happening?
Wait, there's blood in this?
One thing I will say that's for me, I don't think either of you guys, I'll say, suffer with this problem, is that I like the Jump app too much because it auto syncs between my phone and my tablet. Also, the ability that I can download a bunch of chapters at once and then read, like, I would take my tablet, I would download a bunch of One Piece, and then I would take my chair and go wandering into the woods and plop my chair down and read where there was no connection for, like, ages. And it was like, this is nice. It's like, it's so easy. But the thing is, it's like, the few times I have tried to read on, like, the decks of manga or other websites, it's just never... I just want it to be like, I'm on here, give me one page of it at a time, I click on the side or I swipe, and then here's the next one. No weird link clicking, I don't want to have to scroll at all.
Yeah.
Like, I'm too bourgeois now to want to deal with anything else. But the problem of that I keep running into more and more is that, like, I am so Jump specific because I'm using just that app, and that's what I'm keeping up with. And because it is so easy, my diet and my locus of focus is limited, because it's like, well, that's the easiest spot to get at it in the format that I'm the most used to, that causes me the least amount of friction. It's why as much as I love it, I have not caught up on Golden Kamuy and Dandadan, because they're on the website, but they're not on the app because they're technically T+, or whatever the heck rating they are. And even though they have a freaking setting that you can see things you purchase that are that rating, they don't have the general subscription stuff. And because I used to read on my laptop before I got the tablet, and now it's like never looking back. All tablet, all phone, no computer.
Because children don't know how to use websites.
I guess. Like, well, I don't know. I don't understand why... Because if there's already a setting for it that you'd have to, like, make me go to the website, and you've already confirmed my age.
It's because of Apple. They have restrictions for apps in the App Store, and it's weird and I do
not like it.
Yeah.
It's not even... Well,
no,
I was going to say... It's not even Apple, because this is like a Google tablet.
Talking about the App Store, though, that's a serious problem that, like, the app stores are going to have to, like, chill out. Or people are going to stop using these apps. Because Amazon, of all the giant companies in the world that can't strike a deal with these people, Comixology and Kindle, you cannot buy books or comics on the apps.
What?
Because Google and Apple also sell books. You're competing directly with their app store. So you have to go on Amazon's website, buy the book, and then it'll load into your app.
It's dumb.
Yeah.
That sounds like Monopoly garbage.
Sort of.
Yeah. It's kind of, I don't know how long people are going to put up with it, because you're like, okay, yeah, maybe Viz Media is not going to find the way around it, but Amazon will.
Can you not buy things directly on the Viz app? Again, I'm never going to buy digital manga, but I know it's constantly like, you could buy this. Maybe it was back when I used to read on the website, and I'm thinking of that. Because now I don't even have to see any of that.
They might show it, but it'll give you a link to the website.
I think you're right. Yeah.
There's another offshoot of this that I wanted to talk about a little bit. But I was wondering, before we get into that, Ben, you mentioned that you're surrounded by manga right now.
Yeah.
Before we record, do you just like make a nest for yourself to get in the mood?
I have, so let's see, what do I have around me? I have Akane Banashi, Orochi. I have a bunch of old words about book stuff I'm not working on anymore. I have the Goosebumps book, Night of the Living Dummy.
Goosebumps.
Court of Thorns and Roses.
Things that are not manga.
But, yeah, no, I don't know why I have them around my desk. Sometimes I read during meetings.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Afterwards, we should get all of the copies, all of my volumes of iShield 21, because there's like 40 of them, and see if we can build a little fort around me and take a picture of that and put it on the Discord. Truly be surrounded by manga.
There's an alternate route for this conversation, which is how we consume anime, which I think is an interesting question right now, because as far as I'm aware, all of us have severely cut back on the amount of anime that we consume. Is that safe to say?
I mean, cut back from when?
Well, for me, just a few years ago, I was watching anime quite a lot. And now, besides when Kermit and I watched anime together, there's only like one or two shows that I watch, and sometimes not a whole season will go by without me watching one, like on my own.
I'm bad at watching television by myself outside of very rare situations, so literally me watching anime with you is more than I was watching pre-Anime Club. For the most part.
Yeah, I mean, I watch Spy Family and Frieren. I don't know if there's anything else. I mean, I guess I would watch Vinland Saga again, but there's not a lot of anime out right. Yeah, but there's not a lot of anime out right now that I'm like super into, to be honest. Yeah. I did, in a way. Like, I think when I was in college, I started to get a little bored with anime, and then a lot of time went by and enough anime piled up that was my thing, that I could watch through it. And then we've kind of done that. And now we're back to like almost everything you said is a news item, not to undermine it, but like I would never watch most of it.
Oh, stuff. Ben, same. As someone like, when I think about it, it's like I love anime, and there's like a bunch of great stuff that I'm just adoring from top to bottom, but when I really think about it, it's like my specialty has swapped to manga. Because I also came into a lot of this of like, I have a large background in the history and just general consumption of like Western cartoons and the way that all interacted. Like that's what a lot of my knowledge base is or was. And now it's like I have the manga speciality. And I also noticed that when I talk to anime people, that I am like out of touch, where I'm just like, I want to talk about all these new babies and Jump and things that you guys don't know about yet. And not in a I'm cooler than you guys, but just like, that's where I'm interested in now. I don't know all the weird things you guys are watching. I don't really care. And it does, how do you meet people to talk about manga and not anime? Because I do feel like that's a different set of humans, kind of, sort of, that's where your specialty is.
You go on our Discord.
Yeah, Discord and the Flop Discord.
Yeah. It's funny because I think the thing I have with anime now is like, and this is sort of weird to say, but like, I don't have the attention span for it, which is a little bit ridiculous because my attention span is just fine. I can sit and do the same thing, like read manga for hours at a time. But for whatever reason, the commitment of 23 minutes of anime,
where you
unless
have to sit, you're not doing anything,
right?
Because when you're reading, you are like that's why it's like I'm bad at sitting and not
because
occupying my brain
you're
fully.
turning the page, you're clicking to go to the next page, whatever.
You're
it is.
taking in the art is not coming out. You have to get at the art
Right.
and the words. They don't come at you. You cannot passively take in manga.
I'm going to say another thing that people are probably not going to super like.
Jeez, Ben, nothing you said has been that actually spicy. Like you're coming.
I know, but
you're swinging the big bat around and going, reasonable takes about things.
I feel like people get like, well,
do the people who listen to our podcast and talk to us get uppity about this thing? I'm going to say no.
No, our audience is cool.
Anime fans.
But there are people out there who are not cool, and they also watch anime.
Correct. There's a lot of them.
And what I was going to say is, let's be real. Most stories that anime are based on are not written particularly well in terms of pacing. Like, I still like My Hero, but I'm never going to watch the anime from start to finish.
No.
Like, I'm never going to watch every episode of that anime because so much of that, it's not filler according to the technical definition of the term, but it is irrelevant. And I don't care about it.
Didn't we decide on the term for that?
Fluff, wasn't it?
What?
Fluff. It's fluffy, yeah. And like when Akane Banashi comes out, I will watch that anime because I feel like Akane Banashi is tight. Like that story, just every chapter is good. Mm-hmm. But there are definitely a lot of mid chapters of My Hero Academia that are going to turn into hours and hours and hours of mid episodes.
It's homework. That's why when Brad said it's coming out in this next year, I said, "Oh boy, homework."
Like I will probably try to watch One Piece Nakama Kai, whatever that's called.
Nakama Kai.
There
it is.
One Piece.
But like, because it needs to be trimmed. Like,
well, that's using One Piece as an example is that's cheating.
It's extreme.
Have you watched an episode of One Piece? Like those earlier
the One
episodes.
Piece anime needs trimming. One Piece in general, you can't trim that much.
I remember
the anime is garbage when it comes to pacing.
When I was before I got married, I was watching One Piece like a lot because I was way behind, so I would watch lots of episodes, and there. You would start an episode and it would be a recap of the last episode for like 6 minutes.
Yep.
And then there would be
the intro is like 2 to 3 minutes.
Then there would be like 10 minutes of actual episode and then like an ending sort of thing for another 6
minutes. Which would be recapped to the next one. Right. I got real good at knocking through Fishman Island.
You can skip more than half of it.
Watch on like 2x speed or 1.5. Just do I see something I've already seen before? Skip.
But there's exceptions, like Frieren and Spy Family. Those were manga where every chapter I liked.
Yeah,
and they're doing interesting things with the anime that make it enjoyable to watch. But a lot of the shonen stuff, a lot of the isekai stuff, it's a by the numbers reproduction of the manga, which I've already read, which was not paced well, but it was okay because I can read fast. It doesn't,
you can skim.
Like what takes 23. Yeah. Well, what takes 23 minutes, it takes sometimes 20 minutes to animate 10 pages of a manga. And no matter how closely you're reading, it doesn't take 20 minutes to read 10 pages.
Right.
Unless you're like examining every line.
Yeah. I feel like some people read the manga by like looking very closely at the pictures. And I think some of the Otome Isekai fans read the manhwa like this too. It's like they look very closely at it because they're there for the art more than the story in a lot of cases. And so they're examining these pretty pictures, right?
And make it sound so childish.
Well, I mean,
says the one who constantly like, wow, this art style looks really cool. It looks like a children's book.
I think there's something to be said about like when you have an animation of that scene that like they're animating it and it's this drawn out way and it spends a lot of time in here. And it's like, well, that's how the mangaka expected you to read it, So I don't know.
Yeah.
There's been plenty of manga I've seen where the mangaka is really hoping I'm not looking that close.
That's true.
And a lot of them feature on Shonen Jumping the Gun.
I bet I could fit a Dairy Queen back there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, everybody should come on our Discord and tell us.
Yeah, tell us
how they like to.
How do you
read
take in your manga and anime? How has it changed over time? Has that changed your diet of what you were reading by virtue of how you changed how you were reading it?
Is there some form of consuming manga that we don't even know about?
When you buy manga physically and read it, do you have to physically consume it afterwards?
What anime have I not given a chance that I'm totally missing out on?
Oh, no. Don't open that can of worms.
What series do you like enough that
me.
you would eat them after you were done with it if you had to?
I will give any recommendation of an anime 10 minutes.
That's pretty generous.
Up or down.
Ben, you know what? I can get you to watch all of in 10 minutes? Watch Roboco and Me. It's a fever dream. You can probably watch literally all of it in 10 minutes. No, that's a lie. That's like 4 episodes.
They're 3 minutes long.
Okay.
You'll know in those episodes if you're on for it or not.
Don't start in the middle like we did.
Start in the middle like we did.
Okay, I'll check it out.
We literally, I start every anime night. I go, I need my bumper Roboco.
ご覧のスポンサーでお送りします。
Do you need Japanese snacks, candy, drinks, or all kinds of toys and merch shipped to your door?
Yes!
Because you can't buy them in normal stores?
Sure do.
Then you'll love Sugoi Mart.
I do.
Because all of those things I just said.
Woo!
Well, it's too late to order for Christmas presents, but it's the perfect place to spend any of the money you got for Christmas.
You can give somebody the gift of that they will get it next year for Christmas.
That's true, yeah.
And I owe you a box.
So here, I've got a thing that we got in a box. I'm gonna consume this live here. This is
What is it?
Extremely sour grapefruit juice spray.
Methamphetamines?
I don't know why this is a thing.
Did you just say spread?
Spray.
Spray. I thought you were going to say. Some of them are goo-based. I like the goo-based things.
It says open.
I think we talked about the goo lemonade on the podcast, did we not? Or is that just us regaling Ben?
I think we talked about that. The jelly drink.
The jelly drink.
Which is like, I don't understand why that's a thing that exists.
So good. I love it.
I just drank applesauce out of a pouch.
No, that's old.
But that's applesauce.
I'm such a young person on the go. I too drink my yogurt from a tube, just like Grandma.
Oh my God, I can't get this open.
This is
such good content.
Should have prepped your gimmick, brother.
I should have. I didn't realize it.
Sugoi Mart takes tamper-proofing their products very seriously.
I'm going to spend this time reading another chapter of One Piece.
I'm going to show Ben here. It's a.
Let me take my sugar. Let me take my crazy drugs inhaler.
I do, yeah.
Okay. It says extremely sour. So here we go. Ready?
Brad seems listening audience. Brad seems unmoved by this. He's not contorting his face like he ate a lemon.
It just tastes like grape.
it's grape spray.
It's just normal sour grapes.
This is the sour grapes.
I'm a little bit disappointed.
We should cut this then. This is not good advertising.
It tastes really good.
Does it taste like candy grapes or actual grapes?
Like candy grapes.
Okay, because a lot of the things we've said before, Japanese snacks have some secret tech that some of the fruit flavored things actually taste like the fruit, but they're a different like consistency. Like they're not like they don't have the same mouthfeel as the actual fruit. So it's just a very interesting thing to be like, oh, this tablet thing tastes like I'm eating a strawberry. Hit me up with some of this.
It just tastes good. Whoops.
My knee.
I was expecting a painful experience, but Sugoi Mart valued me so much.
Honestly,
it made me feel better by calling it extreme so when I could deal with it.
It would have been great if I was just no-selling that the whole time.
I was
the
really
most sour thing ever.
I was tempted to sell it a little bit because I felt it a little bit. I'm feeling it a little bit. It's not. This is a shoot. It's just,
of course,
good, though.
I'm also the kind of person who can eat like the warheads and like not feel anything.
My face is scrunching a little bit, guys. But it's good, though. It's real good. I'm happy I have this.
Anyways, that's the kind of amazing
oh my gosh,
stuff
we have to edit that
that you can get at Sugoi Mart. And all of our listeners can click the link in the description or use code APR15 at checkout and get 15% off your first order. So that's a really good way to spend your Christmas money. So go to sugoimart.com to spend your money. You'll probably be glad you did.
You'll be glad, I assure you. I feel like I need to take a spritz of this before we do my... I need this and then my bump of RoboCop.
Okay.
So this mysterious final segment.
Guess what it's time for?
Manga Book Club.
Indeed. I feel like we haven't done that in a while.
Yeah. What have we been talking about the last segment, man?
What have we even been doing?
I don't know.
But, so for today's Manga Book Club, I've got something special for you guys.
Oh.
We're going to talk about Kill Blue.
What?
Yeah.
What a momentous occasion.
Yeah.
Ben, are you reading Kill Blue? Have we not talked about Kill Blue yet?
I looked through.
Double check?
I sure hope we didn't because
I don't think we have. You're right.
I looked at the list and I don't think we have.
It snuck up on me as a long-running series.
Ben doesn't even know what it is.
So you can tell him about it. I can talk about this. There's at least 2/3 of us that can talk about this.
So if everybody is aware, there has been a trend recently of secret agent / assassins series. You know, we've got the Spy Family, we've got Sakamoto Days. I know there's others.
I think those are the two pillars that brought it on at least as much as I am aware.
And Kill Blue is continuing that trend in a new and exciting way. Kill Blue is about a hitman. I guess it's Tokyo, right? And
I think he's in Japan.
He goes out on a job. He's in his like late 30s, I think.
Literally one of the best hitmen ever. Like you see an opening little segment, and he is just.
But he's getting old.
Gonzo good.
He's starting to have issues like sometimes his back hurts and stuff like that. He's definitely getting older, but he's still the best. Anyway, so he goes on a job, and he gets stung by this bee at this job that he's doing in some kind of laboratory. And what he finds is that he wakes up in the body of a middle schooler, which is his own body. He's shrunk.
Well, he's de-aged. He's not
yeah.
just small.
Somehow they were engineering some kind of anti-aging thing at this lab and using bees for it for some reason.
Spider-Man got bit by a spider. He just got bit by a bee on his bottom, on the bee's bottom.
Yeah. And so he goes back to his agency, and they're like, well, we got to figure this out. We'll go back to this lab and figure this out. But they don't want to let them know that there was, something going on at that lab. And so they're trying to get information. And what they find is that the chairman of the company that runs this lab has a daughter who goes to a middle school nearby. And so they send him to the middle school to try and get close to the daughter so that they can figure out the antidote. And hijinks ensue.
But better than you think. We were literally just... Side note, that may or may not be cut. Brad, did you already pick this from before I talked about it in the car ride?
I did.
Okay, because that's wild, because I woke up this morning and said, I should catch up on Kill Blue, completely unprompted.
Yesterday, I actually picked it.
Okay, that's incredible. I must have felt some sort of psychic reverberation.
And then you started talking about it, and I was
literally
like,
this morning, I woke up and was just like, I caught up on Dog's Red. I should cut up on Kill Blue. I read the red manga, now I'm going to read the blue manga. And I was reminded about how much I love it. So, constantly you would think, and we've seen it in manga and anime before, of like, oh, old man and kid body date other kid. They never actually fully process how messed up that is.
Well, let me clear something up here. There are a lot of regression isekai or transfer isekai where the person dies. And in both of those cases, they end up as a child in this other world or back in time.
But they have their adult brain.
They have their adult brain, and yet they still end up falling in love with another child or teenager or whatever. But still, it's like you have someone whose brain is 30-something years old falling in love with a 12, 14, 16-year-old. And sometimes they try and like make it okay by going, oh, because they're in this body and it's actually like the younger brain that the older brain's trying to fit into, they're actually regressing. And so it's like they have the mentality of this younger person. And
sure, fine.
It's one of those things that I just move past.
Yep.
But like, if you stop and think about it, it's really messed up.
It's still really icky, even if it visually on the surface looks okay.
But in Kill Blue, it's, oh my God, it's so good because
it's so refreshing.
The guy is still an old man on the inside. And by old man, I mean like me. And he's always going on about how he is not into these teenage girls, even when they are like obviously into him. And they're constantly throwing that curveball of like, is this going to be it? This girl, she's into him and she's throwing herself at him.
And he's just like, no.
And he constantly rejects it. And it's great and refreshing.
But that's also not the crux of what makes the manga great. That's just like, it's really refreshing to have something that is so...
It's a side note.
It's just such a... It's kind of frustrating that something that should be so rote is so refreshing to us, where it's like, wow, it keeps going up to the line of problematicness we've seen in so many other manga, and then it just doesn't do the problematic things. And it talks about how, like, yeah, that'd be really problematic to do. And I'm like, wow, this feels like I'm being listened to. This is great.
Yeah.
But it is consistently, it is definitely, it's more grounded than Sakamoto Days, but it is still very wacky.
Oh yeah, I didn't
like,
really get
bounds,
to
the bounds of reality have been, with each like new little arc, are getting more and more like wild. There's like other hitmen are starting to show up called like unicorns or something.
Well, the unicorns are not necessarily hitmen.
Oh, really?
Unicorn just describes someone who's so much of an outlier.
Yeah.
I didn't get this far in the summary. We should make this clear.
Oh, sorry.
So he is trying to get close to this daughter of the chairman of this chemical science firm or whatever. And this chairman all of a sudden comes out and says, whoever can win a challenge will get to be the fiance of my daughter, and they'll be the ones who get to take over this lab. And so this assassin guy and his agency are like, well, we have to be close to her so that we can get in that position and get this information. But then all these other assassins from around that are also inexplicably teenagers.
Some of them are. Some of them are just small. Like, it's just, it's strange.
They come in and like they're challenging him to try and get this position because the people paying them want to get this power and information that comes with this, corporation. So he's constantly having to deal with all these wacky situations.
These
that come up
weirdo
because
suitors. But also on top of all this, he just freaking loves school. He's like, I never got to do this. I was always growing up as like a hitman, and it's like really, there's something really wholesome and magical about him just genuinely loving school and learning about stuff and his love for that. And that's one of the reasons why he's like, I need to protect the school because I love this so much.
And there's an element of like puzzleness to it in that like he needs to not let people know that he's an assassin hitman, while also taking care of all these situations.
Yeah.
So he's constantly trying to set things up where it's like there's plausible deniability of
that's
his
admittedly
amazing
breaking down
abilities.
a little bit now that like everything's been getting more insane and absurd, but like there's definitely there's a lot of that in the earlier parts and still a little bit now and then depending on
But then
what's
you
going
also have these in-between periods where they're just sort of hanging out and having fun. Like he's part of the home ec class.
I love that.
It turns out he really likes doing this stuff. And he really likes just, like you said, just school in general.
Again, like weirdly refreshing of like, oh, he's in the home ec class and they make a little comment about like, oh, boys aren't usually here, but like they just kind of roll with it, and it's just really, again, it's really great and wholesome, and it feels very progressive for Jump stuff.
And specifically, there's at one point, this guy shows up, a unicorn. He's not an assassin. He's just another person who goes to school, but he's like the most athletically gifted person ever.
What if you smushed 3 sports manga heroes from the end of their journey into one boy?
And he challenges our protagonist just because he wants a challenge. And like, so there's a whole thing with that. After they're done with the challenge, he basically gets put in his place in like talking down to the home ec class. And he immediately then like falls in love with like the leader girl of the home ec class.
I've been loving that. It's such a like fun little. I like. Doesn't he call her Capo, the mob guy, the hitman guy?
Yeah.
It's really fun seeing. I'm curious if that's in the original, if they use some like Yakuza terms that he uses a bunch of like Italian mobster speak when he's talking because he's a weird old 30-year-old, 40-year-old gangster.
It's so funny though because like this kid, this athletic kid, like is so bad at communication and like understanding other people, but then like being around this girl, he like starts learning things, and she like likes him for how much he is paying attention to her. And there's just so many wholesome
really,
moments
fun
in it.
Time and like moments where you're like, I'm nervous about this, and then they just handle things just like exceptionally well, and you're like, oh yes, of course, Kill Blue, keep doing it.
Yeah.
But no, I love it. It's entertaining. It's funny. It's been getting more and more absurd. But also, I guess one of the things we talked about a little bit is like him having to get close to the girl, but they make like, he talks about like, I'm like a freaking 40, 30-year-old. Like, it'd be really weird if I was dating a teenage girl, even if we're both in teenage bodies. So, but like all the boys keep trying to get with her. So in a way, he kind of acts as her beard. Sort of, kind of.
Well, but he's also protecting her. Like he and he hasn't quite figured this out yet at the point where we're at. But he does like her from a sort of fatherly perspective.
Correct, because I think he has a daughter he doesn't get to see,
who's I think about like the same age
from an ex-wife. Yeah,
and it might be more of like an uncle kind of thing, but.
It's
specific
more,
relationship aside.
It's parental and not romantic.
Yeah.
I read like 2 chapters of this. Doesn't he have an ex-wife he still talks to? Is she like a love interest? Like, would they get back together if he became an adult again?
Potentially, but
I mean, they were already divorced pre him getting smaller because he effed up his life. So like,
and she hasn't really been in it very much. She
like,
shows
it sounds
up
like he's changing.
Yes, but I also like. Kill Blue keeps getting beyond my expectations for how I think a story and specifically a manga are going to handle things. So, like, I don't know. And it's doing fairly well. It's like one of the ones from, I think, this year that started that's, like, consistently in the first half of the manga, which is, like, no one ever talks about Kill Blue being in danger. It's just, like, it's a solid workhorse of a manga. And I think it's just, like, I caught up on it. I'm like, I left it behind for a while, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then I come up, like, I forgot how much I love this. Like, this just works really well. I think it's just because I needed to let it build up a little bit. But,
so why is it called Kill Blue?
I don't know.
That's a good question.
I don't think that's been brought up.
Kill because he's a hitman.
Yeah.
And Blue because you put blue in the name of stuff.
Maybe there's like a pun.
What's that?
With
the new one
that
you were watching? Blue something or other, Blue Eyed or whatever.
Blue Eye Samurai?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's about a foreigner.
And then there's Blue Lock.
There's Blue Lock, but I don't know why Blue Lock is called Blue Lock.
There's a reason Blue Lock's called Blue Lock.
I think Blue Kill is like a pun in Japanese that just didn't translate well because maybe they all thought this was going to be a dumb garbage series and then it wasn't.
Because part of the problem is I looked this up while you were giving the summary.
Me too.
Because I could not remember it at all. And I did read 2 or 3 chapters of it.
Yeah, but that was like 5 months ago or more.
Yeah, I forgot it. I totally forgot it existed. And I never in a million years would have guessed that manga was called Kill Blue.
Because we're in the 30s now, right? At time of recording.
Yes. Well, that's what I was just reading. Like, it's doing well. It's popular. I'm glad the teens like it for how progressive it is. I guess like more recent spoiler, but I just want to talk about it because I literally just read it this morning. But Kiro Ao. Kiru and then Ao is blue. I wonder if that's a pun. I'm sure it's a pun. I'll ask the people that know things later, unless Ben is also those people.
Maybe that's...
I wouldn't know the pun.
Ow as in like, ouch.
Well, Ao is blue.
Well, right, but maybe that's the pun.
Kill ouch?
Sounds like...
That doesn't make any... They're dead. Why are they saying ouch?
I think itsu is like ouch in Japan.
Mm.
But there was a recent chapter where...
Go on our Discord and tell us why it's called Kill Blue.
I'll go ask Maxie B. There was a recent chapter where he had to have his parents come in for like a student... what is it? Student...
Parent-teacher conference.
Parent-teacher conference, thank you. I kept saying student. That's not right. And it's like, he doesn't have parents, because he's freaking 40s, but he's a child now. So his handler comes in. And
his handler, who is like in his early 20s or something like that?
Somewhere in his 20s.
Yeah.
And they set up like the hitman kid's like, oh man, he's gonna like he doesn't know who's gonna show up. Like he's like, oh, my parents are coming, but he doesn't know what they're gonna look like. And then it's his handler showing up.
So specifically, there is a bar that is run by I don't think the person is trans, but I think they're just a cross-dresser.
It's always super confusing with Japanese media when people are cross-dressers and people are trans.
I'm pretty sure
I don't know enough about their particular culture with it.
I'm pretty sure they're just a cross, but they refer to her as
Mama-san.
They refer aunt or something like that.
Okay.
So
I
maybe
forgot about that. It's been a while.
Maybe they are trans. Point is,
confusing, but yes,
they look like a woman. They dress very well like a woman, and that person gets brought up very close to that, and so you think, oh, they're going to get this person to come in.
Oh, that must have been before
like
I started
mother.
reading again because I took a break.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about that, but you're right.
But so he's sitting there waiting because he doesn't know who's going to show up.
Yeah, and it's his handler shows up in drag, but he like, damn though, he looking good. But I like that the joke comes from like, oh wow, I didn't think he'd look that, like he's taking this seriously, and they make a point of like, if he looked like, they draw a little like doodle of it. It's like if he came in looking like this, where it would have been a lot more like clownish and jokey, probably how Jump would have done it before.
The caricature that a lot of conservatives think trans men look like. Trans women.
But like that, it would have been more of like, he's not taking this seriously, and how I think I've seen in other things them handling like, it's cross-dressing, ha 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 ha. But
Did it have to be a mother? Did he have to cross-dress?
I think he wanted to. I think that's part of the like bit. It's just because he's playing up the like motherly role through all of the scene where he's doing it. It's only like one chapter,
I think
but
if he had just gone as himself, he would have looked too young to have a 14-year-old or whatever he is.
Yeah, but like now that he's all like dressed up and he's enjoying playing the part and talking to their parents and stuff, like the comedy is not like, wow, there's a man in drag, tee-hee, but it's like this guy both doing like a genuinely really good job with it and then like taking to it really well is like the comedy of the situation. But then that
and also going overboard as like the mother,
like where it's like, okay, you're drawing too much attention, cool it back a little bit. But also the very specific thing of like, hey, you guys, you the reader and also the hitman guy were expecting something kind of upsetting a little bit and kind of old school, and it's like, nope, we subverted your expectations. It's very like a bullfighter. Like I'm like, they set something up like, ooh, this hasn't happened yet, but you're leading me into something that doesn't look good, and they go, and they pull the sheet away and everything's okay, and it's like, okay, and then they go, yeah, you thought this was going to be bad, but then it wasn't.
Which is what they keep doing with the romance between,
other things,
the potential romance, I should say. Especially because the girl keeps doing this thing where she's like, wait, do I actually like him? No, it can't be. No, he's just helping me out. We're fake boyfriend and girlfriend. Wait, maybe I do. And then it just like goes back to him and he's just like, I love school.
Yeah. It just,
so
I don't know.
How many people in the
refreshing.
community aggressively ship them?
Yeah. But it's very fun. Like a bunch of weirdos keep showing up consistently. I think one of the first like assassins that shows up that got as a kid has like he's constantly sucking on like a pacifier and he's just constantly everybody just constantly and he's just the worst and people constantly talk about how much of a freaking weirdo he is.
He wants to be treated like a baby.
That was something I remembered recently because they made like a small bet and it's like, if I win you have to read me a picture book, and I've never read something so like innocuous and also foul in a manga before. Where it was just like, this is a nothing event, but also, this is so kinky fetishy, and in this context, I'm like, ugh, gross.
But they never take it too far.
They never go over the line. Yeah. It's just the right amount of like, this just, he just gives me bad vibes, but that's the point.
I will say, in defense of anybody who might be shipping them, if you ignore the fact that he is a 40-year-old man in the body of a 14-year-old, I can see that being like a wholesome, nice relationship.
In the same way that we can self-insert as 30-somethings into these things with teenagers,
right?
Because none of these people are real. But if you're like full tilt do or die about it, then we have a problem. But if you're just like, yeah, I could dig it.
But I think it's important to note in that aspect that part of the reason why all of these girls around him, I guess at this point it's only like 2 or 3 of them, but the reason that they like him is because he's mature and generally acts like a grown man when they're surrounded by these teenage boys.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it goes him out because he does speak like an old man, and multiple people have called him out. It's like, why are you talking like that? Yeah. Which I'm sure would read even more in anime than just reading it.
So, yeah, I can't agree with anybody who's shipping them, but, like, I don't not understand it.
Yeah. But, yeah, no, I can't believe we have not talked about... I guess it snuck up on me, because it was a series that started, I'm like, I like it. Like, it is the consistent workhorse of Jump, and sometimes that's what you need. It's consistently interesting. It's consistently funny. It is consistently refreshingly progressive in ways that I'm constantly surprised by.
And it keeps
that I hope spreads to more things.
It's got the variety that I like.
Yes, it's fresh.
They're not just doing, villain of the week over and over again. They're always doing something new. There's a different angle to go down. Something that they did a while back that I'm still wondering about is there's a point where they're all hanging out and he starts reverting back into his 40-year-old man body.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that was a freak out. I feel like an editor came in and said, don't do that. And I was very happy for that because I was like, no. I don't want to deal with this. This is stressful. This is too stressful.
They just go back and it hasn't happened again. And you're like, what was that?
Yeah.
Because there's no like, oh, it's because this happened. It's just random. It happens for 10 minutes and then he goes back and you're like, huh?
Kill Blue kind of exists in gag manga world where stuff can just pop off and it's like, it's fine.
On the full moon, he becomes a 40-year-old man.
I actually would have been about that.
Man.
I would have been about the fact that it would have been like, during full moons.
Yeah, but there's literally not. They give no reason for it. So, but
just to up the tension in that scene, I guess. I don't know.
Ben, you should definitely catch back up.
Catch back up with it. Literally just caught back mostly up with it. Well, catching the rest of the way tomorrow, and was like, wow, I forgot how much it very serendipitous. I read that when we were going to be talking about it here.
If you like Sakamoto Days, this is a no-brainer.
Oh, this is a no-brainer. If you like Spy Family, mostly no-brainer.
It does have, it's almost sort of at an in-between spot between Sakamoto Days and Spy Family.
I think it's found its legs, because I think in the beginning it could be very, it is the tip of If Spy Family and Sakamoto Days are the handle, Kill Blue is the tip of the spear of we're going to see more Hitmen. I feel like we've already seen at least in 1 or 2 of the new ones that, Kagurabachi is that. Kagurabachi's Hitman, even if it's swords instead of guns.
Yeah.
We're going to see more of it. This is the new trend.
It's got sort of that feel.
It's got a Reservoir Dogs Matrix-y.
Kagurabachi is a hybrid shonen battler.
Yep, because it's part supernatural swords and part Hitman crime family.
Yeah.
And we're going to see more of them when we're done getting all these sports series that don't do well.
I know there's a bunch of people on the Shonen Flop Discord that are reading Kill Blue, but I don't know how widely known it is.
I don't think
beyond that.
I don't think anybody knows besides our little Jump enclaves. because it's not like most things need manga to hit big time, but like this is not like a oh my gosh, Spy Family, shout it from the rooftops, but it's like Kill Blue. It's that again workhorse. It's like it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Enjoy reading it every week. More people should know about it. I'm sure the anime will be great when it happens. But it's definitely formed into its own little unique thing that I enjoy checking out.
It does feel like something that will get an anime.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna go with it. It's gonna be a hit.
It's a hit. One day we'll get to Kill Blue on Shonen Jump together. Maybe we can't cover any of these. Or maybe we'll wait for ages until it gets the anime and do it then. Yeah. Be timely about it.
Have to not read it for a couple months and then go back and read the first chapter. Pretend.
We'll see. I don't know. There's different forms of those episodes. So okay, whatever. Cut all that.
Why?
It's patter. It's nothing.
Go in the Discord and let us know if you like. Seriously, get on the Discord. I know that we have a bunch of listeners who haven't talked to us yet. We want to chat with you.
We see your consistent numbers every time we put an episode out. That 40 squad.
Yeah.
Give or take.
And you know what? If you want to help us out, engagement is a way to boost us on the algorithm. If you go on the YouTube channel and put comments on the videos, thumbs up, that kind of thing, that boosts engagement. Other than that, I don't know. You got to tell your friends.
Come to the Discord and literally suggest topics, and if we like them, we'll talk about them. Just like this very episode.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, quite frankly, we have to groom our topic list, which we haven't done in a while.
There's a lot of homework ones that I have to set. I'm like, we'll do this one, but I have to do research for it. So
getting topics from the community, I love that because like
it's a different perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it's us three here. We're just bouncing off each other, and we've been talking about this kind of stuff for 3 years now.
Yeah, we're entering year 3, are we not?
We're in year 3 now. Yeah. So
wow.
So we gotta get some outside input, and we have. But
we want more.
We're very happy with our beginnings of our community. We're very happy with that. So, but we want to grow. Anyway, read Kill Blue.
Read Kill Blue.
Thanks for listening to That Time I Got Reincarnated in the same world as an anime podcaster. All our social media links like Discord, Patreon, and those other ones are on our website, animepodcasterreincarnation.com. You can also find articles on various topics, as well as new manga reviews. We'd love to hear from you on any of those social platforms, or you can leave a comment right on the site. You can even just send us an email to isekai-sensei-sama@gmail.com. We're always looking for feedback, and we'd love to chat with you about the topics we cover. If you prefer to listen to our podcast in high-quality stereo, be sure to check out our YouTube channel, where we simul-release all our episodes. We also release that version early on Patreon, so if you just can't wait, you can join us there to listen as soon as the episode is done cooking. In addition to getting the episodes early, all tiers get to vote on the next series we cover on heroin addiction, as well as getting a shout-out. We've got all kinds of perks, but we also want to know what Patreon perks you want. We are not above being bribed for content. And of course, we want to thank all of our patrons. At our Reincarnator tier, we got Cake Dwarf. I'm gonna do this again and probably mangle this. Was soll ich auf Dusch sagen?
Was that a message to Cake Dwarf?
Yeah.
Oh, what'd you just say? Hopefully, or is that for Cake Dwarf to figure out?
Well, if Cake Dwarf wants to come and let us know,
on the Discord,
if he could understand what I just said, he can tell everybody what it was. And also in our Reincarnator tier, we've got Moon, who is a friend of the show and a guest. Done 2 episodes with us on heroin addiction. And she is a moderator on the r/Otome Isekai subreddit. So you can check that out and come on the Discord and talk to her. At our merchant tier, we've got Kill Hour. And last and definitely not least, at our commoner tier, we've got our friend Rena. So thanks to all our patrons. And before we go, we want to thank Sugoi Mart again. Don't forget that you can get 15% off your first order by using the link in the description or by using the code APR15 at checkout. Kermit, you want to plug anything?
You can check me out on this very feed on Shonen Jumping the Gun. As stated earlier, I believe after this episode, we are putting out an episode on Dog's Red, which is a series about ice hockey in Japan from the guy who did Golden Kamuy. It's a good time, so go check that out.
Ben, what do you got going on with Words About Books?
A bunch of Christmas stuff that I'm pleased to say is underperforming. Halloween was definitely a peak, and all of my co-hosts' Christmas picks were terrible. So you can listen to them if you want to spite me. But.
Hey, I thought the last episode, crap, I forgot the name of the book already, but
Later On We'll Conspire.
The spy thriller, clean romance Christmas story.
What makes it clean?
They don't have sex.
Oh,
sex doesn't exist in this universe.
Actually,
They
or for
kiss to orgasm,
hot,
but no sex.
Yeah, we're reasonably certain they don't have genitals.
Ken and Barbie.
Yeah,
That's exactly what I said.
But I was listening to that episode, and I was just the whole time I was going, "This is a Ryan Reynolds movie. How is this not a Ryan Reynolds movie?" Like
not
that.
yet.
I'll see if I can send him an email, get a Mint Mobile sponsorship.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Is that it?
That's it.
Right.
I mean, we have other stuff, but like it's all just end of the year wrap up type content. So it's not a good jumping in point if you've never listened before.
Are you guys doing your New Year's drunk one?
We did a drunk Christmas one. I guess the year-end episode we did drink, and we forgot to record the part where we buy each other gifts. So we had to get back on the mic really hastily and edit that in.
Nice. Well, is that coming out tomorrow?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think so.
So that should be out by the time you listen to this. So go listen to that. Maybe listen to another episode first so you understand Words About Books first. Well, thanks again for listening, and happy non-denominational winter gift-giving holiday, everyone. This is episode 26 of That Time I Got Reincarnated in the Same
World
as an anime podcaster, where we explore the hard to clean. No, I'm going to do this again.
Hard to clean?
No, hold on. Ben, you screwed me up.
I appreciated it.
Because I know it sounds like you're doing it at the same time on your side.
I know, it's
but it's like
I thought you were
5
waiting.
seconds after.
I felt it. I just thought he was just chiming in. Yeah, I guess it is the lag.
Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. I was about 7 down, and I was like, this is probably
You did too many. We should only be covering the next season. That's already too many.
I don't even cover everything. These are just ones that I know the names of.
Yeah, you know a lot. Freaking glutton. Okay, enough distractions.
So, speaking of distractions and World War II, did you know that Mussolini regularly ate a big bowl of thinly sliced garlic covered in lime and olive oil?
Why?
No idea.
That's just a big setup for an Italian food joke.
He's
going to
go take an Il Duce. Da-da-da-da-da-da. It's El Duce, but, it doesn't.
Anyways, I learned that yesterday, so.
Thanks.
So I mentioned it on my anime podcast.